Greetings.
Turn my
Greetings,
phone.
greetings all.
Afternoon.
Hi.
Mr. Gibson, can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I don't see a picture. And can you all see me too?
No.
Okay. It's weird. I think I'm going to try to sign out and sign back in to see if that'll fix the problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Maureen.
Morning.
Good morning, or it's afternoon now.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Yeah.
Madam Secretary, it's
Yes.
Catherine Feinstein. You can hear me
Yes, I can hear you.
and you can see me?
Nope, I can only see your box. And that just happened to Miss Gibson. She couldn't get her camera. Her box came
Okay.
up. There you are.
Okay.
Now we can see you.
Huh. Oh, what a joy for you. Thank you, Commissioner Covington. And hello, Commissioner Morgan, and hello, Mr. Russi.
Good afternoon, President Feinstein.
I want to live in your forest, Commissioner Morgan.
You can for a price.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I wish it was mine.
very good, Covington. Very good. Yeah.
I missed the clock, Commissioner.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I got a little change of scenery.
Oh, I know his clock. You have
Yes,
a
the
good
clock was
background, though.
in the background. Yeah.
Commissioner Covington, you have a good background. Because
Oh, thank you. Pardon?
Because it's yours.
Oh, yes, this is mine.
Yeah.
Miss Gibson, your camera still isn't working properly. It's a big purple square.
Yeah. I can see that, and I'm not sure why that's happening.
Oh, I just got a big purple square too. From I think it's from Miss Gibson.
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right. That's
Hmm.
we're odd here, but you know.
The only other thing I can think of to do is to take it off of my laptop and try it from my cell phone. I can try to see if that will work.
Okay.
All right.
You probably have a problem going into closed session. I tried that with my cell phone. I couldn't get into the closed
Well,
session.
she won't be going into closed session.
Okay. There you go.
Or your forest, Commissioner Morgan.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those fancy virtual backgrounds.
I know, you're fancy. What can I say?
I'm catching up. Catching up with the times a little bit.
Well, that's
Actually,
better than me.
not
I've
me.
given up.
I'm with Commissioner Covington. I mean,
I am so through.
well, my daughter offered to tutor me. Well, because I offered to pay her, and that it's just not a good idea. You know, you need to get a professional, not your child who all of a sudden is too busy to show up. You know, I said, okay, but I've got to get better at all this stuff. I just do. I know it. Hi, Mr. Russi.
Hi, Commissioner. How are you?
I'm fine. There
There's
you
more than-
are.
There you are, yeah.
Nice to see you. You're supposed to say nice to see you too.
Are you talking to me still?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Nice to see you. I wasn't sure. I thought Commissioner Covington said something. I thought you were talking to her.
Okay, I'm just giving you a hard time.
Hey,
Well,
good
we're
morning.
struggling with WebEx, you know?
Good afternoon. This is Leif Veimoen, just checking in.
Good.
Thank you. Good. Excellent. Okay, so do we, Mr. Russi, do we have I don't know if Miss Stoughton is doing this, Mr. Yan is doing this. I don't know if you know. I don't know if
I see Mr. Yan. He's right there. He's doing it.
Hello, Madam President. Yes, I will be here. on
Hi,
behalf of the
hi
department.
there. Let me, okay, now I see you. I don't know why. I got it. Okay. I now have the grid and I have I don't I still from Miss Gibson have a purple square. And am I correct?
Yes, we all do. We all do.
Okay, is Mr. Giacalone on or sir,
Yes.
are you
Yes, I
okay?
am.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank
How
you.
are you, Madam President?
I'm fine. How are you, sir?
Doing okay.
Okay.
Madam President, I believe Miss Gibson indicated that she was going to try to log on again with her phone to see if that worked any better.
Right, so I
Yeah,
see
I
her,
heard
I
that,
see her
yeah.
in a gray square now as well as a purple, but I don't see her face, just the squares.
That's what I see too. And Miss Freeman, while we're
Oh, there she is.
Does that work?
Yes.
Miss Gibson, you may need to close your the screen on your computer, which is still logged in. I think that's probably what's causing the feedback.
Okay. Just
Oh,
mute
yeah.
it. Mute it is all you need to do.
oh, we have a chief who's an expert in WebEx now. Wow.
All right. Thank you.
President Feinstein, can I object and have Mr. Giacalone removed from the meeting?
I'm not one that can order Mr. Giacalone removed from the meeting. He's a representative of your union, and I think that's a discussion that you need to have with him. Mr. Giacalone, if there's a comment you wish to offer or you disagree with me, I'm open to it. What?
No, if that's what he wants, then that's his decision.
And do you have any response?
Me or him?
You,
No, I'm,
Mr. Giacalone, I'm sorry, sir. Yes, you.
No, if that's what if that is Leif's wishes, then so be it.
Is that
Thank you.
your wish, sir?
that is what I stated. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Well, Mr. Giacalone, we'll see you when we see you. Thank you for
All
your
right, no problem.
availability and flexibility around this matter.
No problem.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
All right.
Take
See ya.
care. And do I have, okay, wait, do I? All right, I have Miss Gibson. Ms. Freeman, am I
Yes.
correct that are you our certified court reporter today?
I am.
Very good. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
I still see, well, first of all, I just lost the member on my screen, and I have a purple square still, and maybe it doesn't matter for Miss Gibson.
It does not matter.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, if it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. So do we now have everybody present that we need to have present?
Yes, we do.
All right, let's call the meeting to order, please.
Okay. This is the Fire Commission special meeting, May 4th, 2022. The time is 1:09. This meeting is being held by WebEx pursuant to Government Code Section 54-953E and mayoral proclamations declaring the existence of a local emergency. To join the meeting, use the link on the posted agenda, which is on the Commission website. To participate during public comment, please call 1-415-655-0001 and use access code 24930771757. Members of the public will have opportunities to participate during public comment. The public is asked to wait for a particular agenda item before making a comment on that item. Comments will be addressed in the order they are received. When the moderator announces that the commission is taking public comment, members of the public can raise their hand by pressing *3, and you will be queued. Callers will hear silence when waiting for your turn to speak. Operator will unmute you. When prompted, callers will have 2 minutes to provide comment. Please ensure you are in a quiet location, speak clearly, and turn off any TVs or radios around you. Item 1, roll call. President Catherine Feinstein.
Present.
Vice President Stephen Nakajo.
Present.
Commissioner Francie Covington.
Present.
Commissioner Army Morgan.
Present.
Item 2, case number 2021-13, hearing and deliberations on verified complaint filed with the Commission by Chief of Department. On November 3rd, 2021, Chief of Department Janine Nicholson filed a verified complaint with the Fire Commission against member for a non-disciplinary separation. This case may be heard in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54-957B and San Francisco Administrative Code Section 67.10B.
All right, and before we get started, if I might have everybody that isn't a commissioner, we do have a full commission. Excuse me. We do have a full commission hearing this matter. And if anybody else present could please state their appearances for the record.
Chief Janine Nicholson, and the fire department is represented by Matthew Yan, who's here as well.
Hi, good afternoon, Deputy City Attorney Matthew Yan for the department.
Thank you.
Heather Gibson on behalf of Leif Veimoen, the member.
And I should note the member is also present. Do you
Yep.
confirm
Yes,
that, sir?
Madam President, I have a question for you. Aren't there 5 commissioners?
Nope, there are only 4.
There's only 4?
Right now, we have a vacancy. So we have 4. And we're required to have a quorum, which would be 3, and we're 1 over the quorum.
Okay, but isn't this considered, you're making a determination on an end of career separation? Doesn't that constitute as all commissioners need to be present?
All
They are.
commissioners are present.
Okay, so you're saying there's a vacancy.
There are 4 commissioners right now, and all 4 are present in this proceeding. So we are good to go. All right, and yes, Mr.
Deputy City Attorney Brad Russi, Counsel to the Fire Commission, just stating my appearance. Thank you.
All right, and I should also note these proceedings are being reported by our certified court reporter Diane Freeman, Freeman, and we will receive a transcript of the proceedings at as soon as she can produce it at the appropriate time. We're also right now joined by our commission secretary, Maureen Conifrey. And I think that is everybody. And Miss Gibson, I'm sorry if I did overlook you, I didn't mean to. Heather Gibson is appearing as counsel on behalf of the member. Do I have everybody?
Madam President, I have a question for you. During the Fire Commission hearings in the past that I've attended, we say the Pledge of Allegiance. Can we please do that?
I don't think that this is the appropriate format to do that. Given that this is a WebEx call, so I'm going to deny that request.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Moving on.
Will I call the next item?
Yes, please.
Item A, public comment on special meeting agenda item, possible closed session. Member of the public may comment on all matters pertaining to agenda item 2 and whether to consider the matter in closed session. Government Code Section 54954.3A and Administrative Code Section 67.15B. And we do have public comment.
All right. Please proceed, Madam Secretary.
Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes, I'm just looking here. So you're saying 2 minutes. Are we not operating under Rule 305?
No, we've got 2 minutes. It has been set. Your time starts now.
These young men and women, elite professionals whose training could be valued at $1 million to $5 million or more, swore an oath, as did this chief, to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and California against all enemies, foreign and domestic. These loyal servants risk their lives every day without hesitation for us, residents of San Francisco and non-residents alike. Never in my life did I dream that our representatives, that's you, for the people of San Francisco, would attempt to take away our most basic sovereign rights to honor our God, our bodies, our most powerful immune systems. Firefighters who invoke their religious exemption do not need your permission ever. The first 2 sentences in the California Constitution tell us all people are by nature free and independent and have inalienable rights. Among these are enjoying and defending life and liberty, acquiring, possessing, and protecting property, and pursuing and obtaining safety, happiness, and privacy. These sovereign rights can never be taken away, regardless of how many unlawful states of emergency are proclaimed and how many unlawful
Thank you. Your
orders.
time is up. Caller, would you like to make public comment? Caller, would you like to? Hello?
I would. Hello.
Okay, your time starts now.
As a person who's been following all these hearings, it's obvious there's no due process involved. The outcomes are clearly predetermined. Your unexplained need to deliberate in secret makes this clear. The Brown Act states a majority of the members of the legislative body shall not deliberate or take action on any item of business that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the legislative body. We can only assume what goes on in closed sessions in those secret and illegal deliberations. The public has a right to know how you come to your conclusions and how city officials think they have the right to deprive civil servants of their jobs without being afforded equal protection and without competent evidence to support the allegations. At each of these meetings, you all have been in violation of San Francisco Administrative Code, Chapter 67. The code states, prior to any closed session, a policy body shall state the general reason or reasons for the closed session and shall cite statutory authority, including specific section and subdivision or other legal authority under which the session is being held. You have not done that. President Feinstein has cited vague reasons for secrecy, casually claiming it's like a jury trial. Sorry, this doesn't cut it. You are government officials. You are held to a different standard. These employees have all waived the right to a closed session, so you cannot use the excuse that employment matters meant to protect them can be held in closed session. The employees want it public. For some reason, you don't, and we all wonder why. Maybe today you can get out of the shadows, follow the law, and deliberate in the light of day. If you think you're doing the right thing, you should do so in full public view. You're all criminals.
Is that it? Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes.
Your time starts
hear me?
now. Yes, your time starts now.
Firing and forcing out a bunch of trained first responders in the middle of an unprecedented staffing crisis is fiscally irresponsible, dangerous to the public, and nonsensical. These hearings are difficult to watch. These employees are being railroaded by a politically driven agenda and are being deprived of their inalienable rights without pause. It's sad to see that this charade is being conducted by commissioners who should have much more insight into the evils of injustice and discrimination. I pray that God heals your blind spots. There's only one commissioner left here who I believe is even attempting to do her job in good conscience. Ms. Covington is the only one of you who appears to be trying to consider the evidence these employees have put forth. Sadly, I suspect she is being intimidated behind closed doors to go along with the program. I also suspect Commissioner Cleveland, who mysteriously disappeared after Tommy Daggett's hearing, saw this injustice and couldn't take part and couldn't be intimidated. The public has a right to know what went on there. This whole process stinks of disgusting elitism. The people who risked their lives for you and your families while you all worked remotely during the height of the pandemic are now being treated like second-class citizens. I'm guessing some of you share the mindset that Deputy City Attorney Yan displayed when he was caught on a hot mic referring to these brave men and women as a bunch of D students. Ever since, I've been wondering if this is what you all think of these brave blue-collar workers in the city. It might explain why you're treating them like garbage, because you think they're beneath you. Thank you.
Thank you. Caller, would you like to make public comment?
I would, thank you.
Your time
Last
starts now.
termination hearing, I discussed the definition of gaslighting. Due to the fact that these meetings have been taken from 3 minutes down to 2 minutes, I was cut off, so I'll continue. I believe that everybody understands the definition of gaslighting. What you are going to see is Attorney Yan try to gaslight the public into believing that there's no breach of due process and no violation of constitutional rights for the state of California or federal rights. Think about this. Even though every commercial and advertisement on the radio that tells everyone that getting the shots is the best way to stop the spread, it is not taken at face value by those who can think for themselves. These people can study science, they can analyze data, they can think for themselves, and they have rights. The attorney for the chief both attorneys for the chief have a tired and unified argument. And they continue to peddle it in the same fashion for every meeting. The commission appears to have a unified, predetermined judgment, and the judgment every single time has been to fire these firefighters. Everybody involved has enabled a baseless echo chamber that feels good in the moment for the chief and the commission. The chief, correction, but let's not forget about the actual honorable Commissioner Ken Cleveland. Where did he go? Why is it that the one commissioner who could articulate, who would raise valid concerns, and who actually loved firefighters and their families has disappeared? To the public, I ask you to watch closely. I ask you to listen. All parties involved in the termination of firefighter Veimoen would try to gaslight you into believing that this is a fair process. The decision for firefighter Veimoen has been made. All parties involved have a predetermined conclusion, and you will see it. I request deliberations in open session in the spirit of fairness and transparency.
Thank you. Your time is up. Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes.
Your time starts now.
Body autonomy. My body, my choice. How does this chief and this commission think that they have the right or power to determine what these firefighters, especially these women firefighters, do to their bodies? How dare you stop them from determining their own futures? How dare you deny their rights and their freedom? How do you continue to fire such amazing and dedicated firefighters? What gives you the right to order what health therapeutics or interventions they may need? Do what's right. Drop your control. Drop your egos. We all know the truth. You hear all of these public comments, and it's very clear. Unvaccinated firefighters are not a health threat to the public and safety of San Francisco. Will you ever be willing to admit that you've gone too far? The truth always prevails and will always prevail. Thank you, Firefighter Veimoen, for all of your service.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you. Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes, I would.
Your time starts now.
These firefighters being terminated willingly risk their lives for the people of San Francisco. This is clearly not about public health. If it was, then nurses, police officers, and firefighters around the country dedicated to saving lives would not be refusing this vaccine in such great numbers. These terminations are absolutely unjust, but I believe every one of these firefighters would agree the greatest travesty is the criminal sacrifice of our children. Unlike many other illnesses, kids are not the primary transmitters of COVID. Children are 500 times more likely to be injured or die from the COVID vaccine than from COVID. There's been a significant increase in myocarditis in kids. Many school districts are increasing training for dealing with strokes and cardiac arrest in children. Pfizer added tromethamine, which has anti-clotting properties, to their children's vaccine. They are fully aware of the risks of their vaccines. So if kids aren't a threat and are at greater risk from the vaccine than from COVID, why push the shot for kids? Under the EUA, pharmaceuticals have immunity, but cities and employers don't. If an ACIP recommendation places the mRNA shot on the vaccine schedule for children, then the gold standard of total release from liability will be attained. A people that willingly sacrifice their children are evil. This is a spiritual war. It's bigger than you apparently realize. History will show that you chose the wrong side. Please do not participate in this tyranny by firing these firefighters. That's all.
Thank you. Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Your time starts now.
Greetings, brothers and sisters, on this St. Florian's Day, the patron day of patron saint of firefighters. Firefighter prayer. When I am called to duty, God, wherever flames may rage, give me strength to save a life, whatever be its age. Help me to embrace a little child before it's too late, or save an older person from the horror of that fate. Enable me to be alert, to hear the weakest shout, and quickly and effectively to put the fire out. I want to feel my calling and to give the best in me to guard my neighbor and protect his property. And if according to your will, I have to lose my life, please bless with your protecting hand my children and my wife. Christopher Salas, retired firefighter under duress, Station 3. May the good Lord bless and keep all of you, brothers and sisters still working, and those of us that have been forced out by a bogus and debunked health order, as well as a blatant overreach by the chief of department, the self-appointed expert of COVID and the San Francisco Fire Department. Here are a few words to pay attention to in today's hearing. It is undisputed, negative. Everything that the city and county of San Francisco and the San Francisco Fire Department says is disputed and has been debunked. Truth, honor, courage. Every member that has been fired has those qualities. Those prosecuting and firing firefighters with families could use a heavy dose of all of them. May the good Lord help all of you search your hearts and find those qualities, because you are not acting with them now. Liberty, justice, pursuit of happiness. Let's get back to the Constitution, people. God bless you all.
Thank you. Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes.
Your time starts now.
My name is Justin Merrick. I'm actually a firefighter with Alameda County, and I'm calling in today to speak in disgust of what is occurring to the firefighters of San Francisco. I think the fact that, one, you guys are unwilling to even have these meetings and these commission hearings in person, it shows your lack of caring and your overreach. I'm going to be honest, is not one of us ever had the option to run 911 calls from a webinar. We never had one chance to treat our patients and treat the people of this country and this state and these cities from a webinar and from online. Just so you know, we spent our entire career here for the public, and in the middle of this entire pandemic, when it was at its heights, we never complained once to any of you. I'm speaking to you, Ms. Feinstein. It would be nice for you once to look at the screen and look at us and look us in the eye when you speak and when we speak. I find it such disrespect that you do not at all even care to look at us when we talk. And I'd like to know, and I'd love to have an answer from one of you commissioners, just one, of how many times you've been on a fire engine or a fire truck or in an ambulance, and how many calls have you ran? How do you know what we do? And we do it because we care and we love our job. And I am such disrespected by my public servants and what you've done to the people that protect and serve this country. I don't know what is going to come next. I hope you guys live with it for the rest of your life. And when you find out that you are wrong, you will live with it for the rest of your life. You understand that. And once again, I'd love to hear an answer. I know you don't have to.
Your time is up. Thank you. Caller, would you like to make public comment?
I would, thank you.
Your time starts now.
Thank you. My name is Pandora McKillop, and I have some dear family friends that were affected by the firings that have been going on in San Francisco Fire Department. And I don't have anything eloquent to say. I have to say these people who are calling in are so passionate about our Constitution and our rights. And I am as well, but more so the point of my call today is to let you know that you've woken a sleeping bear. People who never took interest in legislation or how commissions were run and the servants of the people and what they did behind closed doors or even in public hearings that they never attended, those days are over and you will no longer enjoy the privilege of our silence. We are watching you, we are paying attention, and we will no longer stand for this treatment of our community members, our public servants who are risking their lives to protect us. We're watching you and you will be held accountable. Thank you. That is all.
Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes.
Your time starts now.
Good afternoon. My name is Ryan. I'm a California firefighter who just came out of the other end of a similar nightmare that my brothers and sisters with the San Francisco Fire Department are currently going through. We came out victorious because our Board of Supervisors and county leaders finally had enough sense to realize that considering the current status of this expired public health emergency, the overwhelming flood of new data, information, and studies showing that mandates are illegal and unwarranted, that maybe they should reconsider. Or maybe it had to do with the 2 lawsuits on their doorstep. Whatever it was, they made the right decision, and your opportunity to make the same decision is quickly fading away as you push forward with this nonsense. The simple known fact that has been broadcast to the world by our beloved Fauci and Walensky is that this shot you are mandating does not stop infection or transmission. That fact alone, and a rational, non-politically driven decision-making process with true leaders, would put a full stop on mandates. That's after the fact that individuals' religious and civil rights have already been discarded. But let's not stop there. How about natural immunity? Or maybe the fact that the VAERS database has 25,000 plus deaths recorded and over 1 million adverse events. The doctors that have been in their fields for decades are sounding the alarm. It's time to wake up. I see 3 explanations for you following through with these terminations. All 3 of them lead to you being removed from your position of leadership. 1 is ignorance. You are truly ignorant to the other side of this narrative and are blinded by your politics. We don't need ignorant leaders. Number 2 is you are complicit. You are having a hard time knowing what is true and false, and you've decided to become complicit in this crime because ultimately, somebody else pulled the trigger. And number 3 is you are criminal. You do know all the above facts and still decide to press forward. Obviously, we do not need criminals in leadership roles. I pledge allegiance to the flag. God bless you, Leif.
Is that it?
That's it.
Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Your time
Dana
starts now.
Pompeo, D student, 24 years in the SFFD, forced to retire early due to the mandates. I just want to start by saying how ironic it is that we are having a predetermined termination hearing on St. Florian's Day, also known as International Firefighters Day. I think it's also ironic that pro-choice advocates are enraged at the news of the past 2 days that the Supreme Court might be overturning Roe versus Wade, and yet we sit here in front of a chief and a commission that wants to strip firefighters of their right to bodily autonomy and informed consent. My body, my choice is apparently a one-way street in the eyes of those who champion the slogan. The city's answer to this dilemma is to offer a medical or religious exemption. What a scam. Except for 3, they were all denied. And the 3 that were approved were not accommodated. We shouldn't even have to ask for an exemption to opt out of a medical procedure that has death as a possible adverse reaction. This brings me to informed consent, which is a legal and ethical obligation for doctors requiring them to discuss your diagnosis, pros and cons of recommended, and the consequences of taking no action at all. I'm pretty sure that all of the members that were cattle called to the DOT for their booster shot in front of CD1 and 2 did not get the right to discussion about informed consent before they had to roll up their sleeves. That's not about public health, that's about control. We are no longer in a public health emergency. The city has now decided that COVID is virtually over. Major sporting events and concerts like Outside Lands, bringing in close to 70,000 people, are taking place. The mayor is traveling to France to encourage tourism for San Francisco. Restaurants and gyms are open. People are maskless and not having to show their papers at the door. Everything seems to be back to normal, but it's not. Behind the scenes, the city is still terminating people that choose not to take an experimental drug for a flu-like virus with a 99.9% survival rate. Interestingly, just over county borderlines, the city employees are not being held to the same mandates and it's certainly not being fired over them. It makes me wonder what these firings are truly about.
Your time is up. Thank you. Caller, would you like to make public comment? Oops. Caller, would you like to make public comment? Hello? Caller? Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes, is this the firing commission?
Your time starts now. Yes, it is.
Thank you. My message is quick and simple to Leif. You're standing on your religious exemption. The fact that they're questioning that should speak volumes. So My only point to you, Leif, is hold the line, stand strong, and stand with God.
Is that it? Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes, I would.
Your time starts now.
First, I would like to pledge allegiance for Leif since he asked for it. Everybody, if you could put your right hand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice
For all.
for all. I would also like to say that the reason Leif asked to remove Mr. Giacalone was that he was heard a few weeks ago when questioned about the firefighters commission hearing, said, and I quote, "Who cares what his last name is? He's being fired anyways." So to be clear here, this is the kind of rhetoric and treatment these firefighters have faced this entire time. Why would Leif want that person to represent him in front of you guys if he doesn't care? Second of all, I like to point out that in your monthly meetings, you quote unquote have special hearings. Why aren't you telling the public about the termination processes that have been going on? Furthermore, I would like to state that the current COVID status and pandemic is in an end phase. To continually terminate these firefighters is not up to date or to science. The real facts and science aren't even being addressed here. Please reconsider the chief's recommendation and reinstate Leif. Thank you.
Thank you. Caller, would you like to make public comment?
Yes, I will. Can you hear me?
Yes, your time starts now.
Oh, thank you. D student, let's go. I can't believe these things aren't in person. And I'd like to thank Leif for having the courage and the bravery to actually do his job in person and help people that are sick during the entire pandemic while you people are too afraid to meet in person and show this guy some respect. When you meet and you're on Twitter and you're going to all these parties and you're too afraid to sit here and look at him in the eye, I also want to know, how are the commissioners, how disrespectful it is the commissioners last hearing still don't understand the difference between the exemption and accommodation. You are the people in charge of deciding who gets fired and who doesn't, who can go against the chief, who her hearsay is admitted into evidence, but a doctor is not allowed to speak on behalf of these defendants. This is disgusting. How is one commissioner voting to keep one firefighter who has a religious exemption, but not the two other ones? How are we going to explain that? Is it because one was a female? Is it because one was a different religion? I don't understand how that thinking holds up. Why don't we ask the questions that Commissioner Cleveland asked? Question number one, if the chief wasn't going to accommodate, why'd she put it in her general order? Two, if the health order allows masking and testing, why aren't we doing that? And three, if a firefighter has a negative test and is wearing a mask, how are they a threat to anyone? Why don't we ask those questions? Oh, maybe he'll be fired.
Is that all? And that is the end of public comment.
All right, thank you, Madam Secretary. Public comment will be closed, excuse me, at this time. I'm just looking and double checking here. Madam Court Reporter, are you all right with me going ahead with some preliminary matters, and then we will take a brief break so you can have that break? Are you
Thank you.
fine now?
That's fine.
All right, thank you. Okay, as an initial matter, given that we've heard so far, We must determine whether the evidentiary hearing will take place in open or in closed session. Section 7B of the procedural rules provides that members have the right to have the hearing on a verified complaint, which is what we're dealing with here, had an open session subject to subject to section 7D, which also allows commission to hold some or all of the hearing in closed session for reasons such as third-party privacy rights, or where disclosure of certain information is prohibited under law. So, sir, let me ask you, do you wish to proceed in open or closed session?
Open session.
All right. And does the department have any response, Mr. Yan?
No response, no objection.
All right, we will proceed in open session. We will next vote, or at least maybe I'll hold until we're done. The commission has the right to participate in deliberations in closed session. That's based upon a vote of the commission. And I mean, we can do it now, or we can do it later. I think I will defer it until the time that we are done with the evidentiary portion of the hearing. Next, I'm just going to give a little bit of an overview. Those of you who have participated have heard this, and but it's important that it become part of every record in these proceedings. The way we will proceed is parallel to how you would proceed in a civil trial. Each party will present an opening statement of 5 minutes. Once the department presents its opening statement, because they go first since they bear the burden of proof, the member then has the opportunity to decide whether he wishes to present his opening statement right after the department presents theirs, or whether he wishes to withhold it until such time as he begins his case in chief. And I will leave that to the member and Miss Gibson to determine. Either way is just fine. And that's between the two of you and what makes the most sense. Next, the department will present its case, and the department will present witnesses. Excuse me, I'm sorry. We'll present witnesses, and then the member will have an opportunity to cross-examine those witnesses. Upon conclusion of the department's case, then the member can present witnesses that he shall choose to present. And again, cross-examination can occur by the city attorney on behalf of the department. When evidence is, my apologies, when evidence has concluded, we will then have closing argument. And the city will give its closing argument first. Then the member may give a closing argument either through his counsel or by himself as he chooses to do. And the department will then have time for rebuttal. The time limits, and this is, as those who've been involved in the case management and setting of this matter know, this has been continued a number of times at the request of the member, which is I have accommodated, but the last agreement and the agreement that we will be abiding by is that each side has 5 minutes for opening statement. Each side has 1 hour for the presentation of evidence, and each side has 5 minutes for closing argument. And it's up to, well, our secretary will help you, but it's up to you to keep track of your time. If the commissioners have questions of a witness, those questions will be posed after direct and cross-examination. They will not come from any of the parties' time. The clock will stop and those questions can be asked and answered. If during the hearing, either side has an objection to a question that is posed, you can state that objection and please give me the legal grounds for it, and I will rule on it one way or the other. If I sustain an objection, it means that the witness will not be answering the question. If I overrule the objection, the witness will answer the question. Another thing that's very important here is we do have a certified court reporter. I've mentioned her a couple times so far, and I need to be mindful of her and her efforts because she is charged with making the official record of these proceedings. So, having been trained by court reporters for decades now, I hold them in high regard, and am not gonna. Don't cross your court reporter. You know, that's just a lesson. So I will be taking a recess one way or the other on behalf of the court reporter. And Madam Court Reporter, if this works for you, I'm thinking every hour and 15 minutes to hour and a half. Does that work?
Yes.
All right, thank you. If at any other time anybody participating in this hearing needs a recess for whatever reason, just let me know. We will take that recess. And I'm not sure, are there any other preliminary issues we need to address?
Madam President, I don't think Janine Nicholson's screen is camera is working. Like she has a problem with it.
Well, she's a witness, not a party, so I'm less concerned about that. I mean, your council's present, the city council is present, so she'll appear, I'm sure, when she's called as a witness. Am I correct, Mr. Yan? Or
Yes, that is correct.
all right. So as I said, she's not a party to these proceedings. So I mean, she's a party, but she's a witness. So she doesn't need to be present for this portion of this. Now, final thing is under Rule 11A of the procedural rules, we must take the member's plea, and that means answering this question, sir, which is, do you agree or disagree with the chief's stated reasons for requesting dismissal?
Disagree, Madam President.
All right, thank you very much. That plea will be entered into the record. Okay, Madam Court Reporter, before we begin with opening statements, would you like to take a brief break? Because I know public comment is challenging to record.
Yes, please. Oh, a short.
All right. Would 10 minutes be acceptable?
That's perfect. Thank you.
All right. I show it is now 1:52. Let's reconvene as close to 2 as we can. All right, thank you. We'll stand in recess till then. Are we ready to reconvene?
Yes, Madam President.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Morgan. Okay, I'm hearing no objection, and also I would note for the record that everybody who was previously present is again present. The chief of the department is appearing audiologically, not sure, I think that's the right word, although not visually yet. But I believe that, well, I know she can hear this. So we are going to begin. Again, it is 2:04, and we will begin with the department's opening statement, please.
Just 1 second, Madam President. Okay.
2:04.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the Commission, Firefighter Veimoen, and Council. Thank you very much for your time today. I'd like us to start today by turning back the clock 2 years to March 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic hit this country. We all remember seeing the horrifying images of hospitals literally overflowing with patients, all fighting for their lives. We all experienced sleepless nights, worrying about our family and friends who had gotten COVID and wondering whether they would survive. We all remember the headlines showing a disease that was killing dozens, then thousands, and today, 6 million people across the world. 1 year later, a scientific miracle. 3 COVID vaccines, all highly effective, all approved by the FDA to prevent COVID-19. For the first time in American history, anyone could walk into a drugstore and in a few minutes receive a completely free shot that would protect them, their families, and their communities from a raging pandemic that still kills nearly 1,000 Americans every day. Fast forward to today, and San Francisco is a COVID success story. The death rate in this city has been 1/3 that of the country as a whole. And how did we achieve this success? Thanks in part to the aggressive measures taken by the city's health officer to fight the pandemic. One of those measures was
I just have an objection. It sounds like counsel is testifying as to expert facts. Are those facts going to be presented, or is he going to be put under oath and to testify as to these facts? Because I think there's a lot of disagreement with those facts that he just put out there.
Well, he's making an opening statement, and it's not evidence, so he will prove it with evidence or not. But it's just an opening statement, as yours will be, counsel. It's not considered to be evidence.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Yen, please continue.
Now, one such measure was Health Order C19-07Y, which requires all city employees who may enter or work in high-risk settings to be fully vaccinated by October 13th, 2021. This order was based on the health officer's scientific and medical judgment that the vaccine reduces the likelihood of getting COVID-19 and spreading it to the general public. Today, nearly 99% of city employees have received a full course of vaccination. Now, it is undisputed that firefighter Leif Veimoen works in a high-risk setting. It is undisputed that firefighter Veimoen did not get the vaccine. Thus, it is undisputed that firefighter Veimoen is in violation of the health order and the general order from the department, leaving the commission no choice but to subject him to non-disciplinary separation. Now, of course, the health order does allow for certain exemptions. It allows for exemption due to medical disability or sincerely held religious belief. It does not allow for exemptions based on personal belief. In addition, the health order anticipates that there may be situations in which a city department simply cannot accommodate an unvaccinated employee, even with an exemption. Employees who regularly work with vulnerable populations do not have to be accommodated. Employees who work in situations where they cannot keep their mask on at all times do not have to be accommodated. And if an accommodation would compromise workplace safety or operations, no accommodation is needed. In this case, the department determined that Veimoen did not qualify for a religious exemption. What's more, the job of a firefighter is such that even if he did qualify, the risk that his unvaccinated status would pose to members of the public and his fellow firefighters still makes it impossible for him to continue in his job without being vaccinated. Now let's quickly go over what this hearing is not about. This hearing is not about whether COVID is a real disease or whether the vaccines work. The city's health officer has decided that they do, and her judgment is legally binding. This hearing is not about politics, because COVID is not political. Both the current and the former president of the United States agree that the COVID vaccine works, and they don't agree on anything else. And this hearing is not about whether firefighter Veimoen is a good firefighter. I have no doubt that he is. All that this hearing is about is the fact that firefighter Veimoen was given a direct order to get vaccinated and protect the public. Following that order would have taken him 5 minutes and cost him nothing, while significantly reducing the possibility that he would transmit COVID to third parties. He chose not to follow that order. He has left this department with no option but to recommend a non-disciplinary separation. I urge the Commission to uphold that recommendation and ensure that the department remains in compliance with a lawful city order and that San Francisco remains a model of good governance and civic responsibility.
Thank you, Mr. Yan. And I'm going to direct this to Ms. Gibson, but the member may also respond. You have the option of making your opening statement now or waiting until the conclusion of the department's case and then making it at that time. So I'm not sure who wishes to make that choice or answer the question, but I pose it both to the member and to Ms. Gibson.
We would like to make an opening statement at this time.
All right, and who will be making the statement on the member's behalf?
I will.
All right, please proceed, Ms. Gibson.
So Mr. Yan is not a medical expert and cannot prove any of the facts that he just cited during his opening argument because he has no expert to prove them. Therefore, I would ask that the Commission entirely disregard all of the alleged facts that he just cited. They are totally irrelevant to the discussion and again, not at all provable. This is my third hearing with the San Francisco Fire Commission, and it seems likely that this hearing will be similar to all others. And that is to say that the inconvenient facts will not matter, the reasonableness of the department's position will not matter, and the orders and laws which apply to this case will not be considered significant by the Commission. Of course, the department contends that it follows the orders made by the health officer of the county, but the evidence will show that it doesn't, and it won't. The department, by way of the city and county bureaucracy, decided in mid-2021 to terminate any firefighter who refused to inject an experimental, unapproved substance into their body. It didn't matter if the firefighter was medically exempt, religiously exempt, had natural immunity, or even if the COVID-19 drugs that the firefighters were required to take were not available. What was and is important is that the firefighters who committed their professional lives to protecting the people and property of San Francisco obey dictated orders. They must obey incomprehensible and unattainable requirements in the orders. Required to inject a vaccination approved by the FDA, which would prevent becoming infected by the COVID-19 virus. Within a month of the county health officer's orders, Chief Janine knew that the COVID-19 vaccines were not preventing firefighters from becoming infected with the virus. The evidence will show that she knew that the vaccine did not prevent the spread of the virus to the public or to other employees. She knew for a fact that the unvaccinated were no more likely to become infected than the vaccinated. The city and county also knew these facts to exist. Nevertheless, the department proceeded with attempting to end the careers and livelihoods of their firefighters. The facts, the rules, the actual real-time experience of all parties' concerns didn't matter. All that is important to the department is that there was blind compliance and obedience to an order that no one understands as written and applied. One of the more significant problems with the department's position in this case is that it cannot carry its burden of proof. It cannot and will not be able to prove that there is any vaccine currently available that complies with the requirements set forth in the purpose and intent of the health order at issue. Accordingly, it cannot prove that Mr. Veimoen is in violation of it. And if Mr. Veimoen is not in violation of the health order, then there is no reason for us to be here today. Of course, if the department actually believed in its position, it could have chosen any health expert to be here today to explain away why the health order can be complied with and to confirm what Mr. Yan just said and all of the facts and bogus statistics that he just cited. But they didn't do that, and I think the reason for that is obvious. Forcing out the firefighters will not lessen infections, not lessen the spread, not lessen deaths or injuries. The department must know that at this time. Instead, this is all about forcing people to do what the bureaucracy demands, regardless of what is effective, reasonable, just, or moral. The commission is just following orders. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Gibson. At this time, does the department wish to call its first witness?
Yes, ma'am. Department calls Chief Janine Nicholson, please.
All right.
I am present.
Hello, Chief Nicholson. If you
Greetings.
kindly raise your right hand, and Madam Court Reporter, if you'd please swear the chief.
Where is she? I can't see.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
I can
there
attest,
you
and
are.
no one would disagree that she's there.
Yeah, I saw her. Would you rate? Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, Chief Nicholson.
Good afternoon.
You are the chief of the San Francisco Fire Department, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
And very briefly, what would you say is the general duty of the San Francisco Fire Department vis-a-vis the residents of San Francisco?
So the duty of the San Francisco Fire Department is to carry out our mission statement, protect lives and property, and all the other things that go along in that mission statement. And it is my job to oversee both the operational and administrative side of that.
Chief, do you have the department's exhibits in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'd like you to turn your attention to the page that has been stamped SFFD Veimoen 0007. That's the bait stamp in the bottom right corner, please.
Okay, I'm there.
Okay, now this is the first page of a multiple page document. Do you recognize what it is?
Yes, this is the COVID-19 health order that came from the city and county's health officer.
Okay, and as far as you know, what is the purpose of the health order?
The purpose of the health order has been all along to protect public health and lower the likelihood of infection of people in the city.
Is the department obligated to comply with the health order?
Yes, we are.
Can the department legally ignore any requirement within the health order?
No, we cannot.
Chief Nicholson, would you please turn your attention now to the page that has been bait stamped Veimoen 0009.
I see it.
Okay, and I'd like to point you directly to the paragraph which has been marked paragraph K. Now, looking at this paragraph, does the health order contain a definition of what it means to be fully vaccinated?
Yes, it does. And that definition was to be fully vaccinated by October 13th of 2021, which meant 2 weeks prior to that, you had to have had your final shot.
Okay. Now, in paragraph K, fully vaccinated is also defined as completing a recommended series of vaccination with a vaccine, quote, authorized to prevent COVID-19 by the FDA. Do you know whether this paragraph contains any examples of vaccines that are authorized to prevent COVID-19 by the FDA?
Yeah, it does. If you continue reading on, it talks about Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson.
I'm going to object on the basis that the chief is not an expert qualified to determine what is authorized under EUA status or not.
All right, that's overruled. The order says it speaks for itself, and you're absolutely able to challenge whether you believe it to be a supported order or not. But the chief can answer the question.
Now, Chief, I'd like you to turn your attention to the page that's been bake stamped Veimoen 0010 now.
0010? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, pointing your attention now specifically to the paragraph that has been marked as paragraph M. That's M as in Michael.
Yes.
Now, the health order also contains a definition of the term high-risk setting. Is that correct?
Yes, it does.
And how does the health order define a high-risk setting?
Where there are a vulnerable population, whether it be in a hospital or a care facility, or a skilled nursing facility, the jails, and et cetera.
Now, to the best of your knowledge, do firefighters such as Firefighter Veimoen regularly work in high-risk settings?
Yes, we do.
Can you explain further? Under what circumstances would a firefighter have to enter a high-risk setting?
Approximately 80% of our calls that we respond to are medical in nature. And we could respond to a homeless shelter, a jail, a care home. We could respond to any of those. In addition, we can transfer people to hospitals as well. So we have a lot of calls that we go on.
Now, Chief, I'd like you to turn your attention to the page that has been bait stamped Veimoen 0018.
0018. Okay.
0018.
Okay.
Now, looking at this page, does the health order mandate certain rules for employees who regularly work in high-risk settings?
It does.
What are those rules?
So for those of us that work in high-risk settings, we have to be fully vaccinated by October 13th of last year, or else, that's pretty much, my understanding of it.
Do you believe, as chief of the department, that it is important for firefighters to be vaccinated before they enter a high-risk setting?
I absolutely do, because it is our responsibility to protect the public, and this is about public health. This is not about one person, it's about the health of the entire public, city and county of San Francisco.
And from an operational standpoint, is there any way that the department could ensure that an unvaccinated firefighter did not ever enter high-risk settings?
No, there's no way for us to ensure that we'd have to basically leave a firefighter outside during a call who wasn't vaccinated if we were going into a high-risk setting or into a home where there might be a vulnerable person.
Now, have you consulted with anyone in the department about the health effects of vaccination?
Yes, I've spoken to our department physician, Dr. Brokaw, a few times.
And when did you last discuss the issue of vaccination with Dr. Brokaw?
It's been several weeks at least. I'm not sure.
And based on your conversation with Dr. Brokaw, what do you understand to be the public health benefits of vaccination?
So,
hearsay.
Yeah, overruled. Hearsay is admissible in this administrative hearing, and you're free to cross on it.
So it's my understanding that fully vaccinated people are a lot less likely to contract COVID in the first place. They're also less likely to be hospitalized with COVID. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes, based on your conversation with Dr. Brokaw, what do you understand to be the public health benefits of vaccination?
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
So the health benefits, as I said, are you're much less likely to transmit it. You're much less likely to get sick from it, or get very sick from it, be hospitalized. And if you just compare the mortality rate of the COVID versus
Let me interject my
mortality rate of adverse
Wait.
reactions.
No,
Sorry, Chief. There's been an objection. Just hold 1 second.
Oh.
no, I'm not going to entertain an objection in the middle of the answer. You can object or move to strike afterwards, but let the chief finish your answer, please.
Thank you, Madam President. Chief, why don't you pick up where you left off?
So the health risks, it's my understanding that the health risks of getting the vaccine versus not getting it, if you compare the mortality rate of people who have gotten COVID versus the mortality rate of those who've had adverse reactions, I mean, there's no comparison whatsoever. They're so far off from one another. So, there's a huge health benefit to getting vaccinated. And the city and county of San Francisco has proven this.
Now, based on your understanding of health,
I just need to, because I'm going to interject my objection here and move to strike the last portion of what the chief said, because she is not an expert and she is attempting to bring in expert testimony via hearsay, and that's totally inappropriate.
All right, that's overruled. Continue, please.
Chief Nicholson, based on your understanding of the health order, does the health order permit exemptions to the vaccination requirement?
The health order does permit exemptions, but just to be clear, exemptions and accommodations are two different things.
And did you have any role personally in deciding whether a specific firefighter qualified for an exemption?
I had no role in that.
Now, Chief, I'd like you to turn to the pages that have been bait stamped, Veimoen 19 through 20.
I see it.
Okay. And looking specifically at the paragraph that has been marked as paragraph 2, does the health order require the department to accommodate employees with an exemption?
It does not.
And does the health order contain any guidance for determining whether an employee who works in a high-risk setting can in fact be accommodated without getting vaccinated?
Apologies, it does.
Okay, and now I'm looking at the 4 factors listed between pages bait stamp 19 and 20, beginning with factor A on page 19. In the regular course of his duties, would firefighter Veimoen come into contact with persons whose, quote, vaccination status is unknown, who are not yet eligible for the vaccine, or who are members of a vulnerable population, such as the elderly, incarcerated, or acute care patients?
Yes.
Moving on to factor B, does the department have the resources to regularly test unvaccinated firefighters to ensure that they do not pose a public health risk?
While we have been able to stand that up during the pandemic, it has really strained our resources, and we are not going to be able to do that moving forward. Absolutely not. It is too much of a burden on the department.
Going to factor C, could the department possibly ensure 100% compliance with the mask mandate during work hours?
No, we cannot.
And moving on to factor D, if you allowed firefighter Veimoen to remain unvaccinated, would that, quote, compromise workplace safety, decrease workplace efficiency, or require other personnel to do more than their share of potentially hazardous or burdensome work?
Yes, it would. I'm not comfortable allowing any unvaccinated members into people's homes or to work with the vulnerable population. So, if we respond to a call and we have 4 people on the engine and we have to leave 1 outside because they're not vaccinated, that definitely puts a burden on the other members, and it creates all sorts of problems for us.
So based on the factors listed in the health order, as well as the advice you received from Dr. Brokaw, did the department make a decision as to whether it was possible to accommodate an unvaccinated firefighter?
We did, and we determined it is not possible.
I now point the witness and the members of the commission to the page which has been marked Veimoen 43.
43, okay.
Give us one second, Mr. Yan, please.
Of course, Madam President.
Thank you. Okay, I've gotten 43. Let's just.
Can you give me 1 second? I'm just going to turn this radio down. Apologies. The dispatch radio. Thank you.
All right, I'm assuming my fellow commissioners, excuse me, are with us on 0043. And if anybody isn't, please take a moment to get yourself there with the exhibits. And if you're not, give me a hand up, please. I'm not seeing any hands up, so I'm assuming we're all on 0043.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you.
Chief Nicholson, you're now looking at a document which has been marked as which is titled San Francisco Fire Department General Order. Do you recognize this document?
I do. This is a general order that was sent out last year regarding the COVID-19 vaccination policy for the department and the city.
Are all employees of the department required to familiarize themselves with the general order?
Yes, they are.
Are all employees of the department required to comply with the general order?
Yes.
What rank is Firefighter Veimoen?
He is an H2 firefighter.
And does the general order apply to firefighters of that rank?
It does.
Now, what steps did the department take to notify firefighters, such as Mr. Veimoen, of his duties under the health order and the general order?
So obviously we sent this general order out through the chain of command. It also gets sent to every single member and is on the front page of their HRMS login account, Human Resources Management System login account, and that's where they're required to sign off on it. You know, it was emailed to the stations, so it is. You know, we do everything we can to notify people of the general orders.
Okay, Chief, I'd like you to turn back to the page which has been bait stamped Veimoen 4. And I'll take a minute for the rest of the commission.
I'm ready when they are.
Okay.
I'm ready. Anybody not ready? I see no hands. We're good to go, Mr. Yan.
Thank you,
for
Madam
your
President.
patience. Thank you.
Of course. Chief, you are now looking at a letter which is dated October 8th, 2021, directed to Leif Veimoen in San Bruno, California. Do you recognize this letter?
I do.
What is the purpose of this letter?
This letter was to let him know what the process is in terms of, you know, abiding by the health order, and that he needed to be fully vaccinated no later than October 13th, and you know what would happen if he did not meet that requirement.
Did Firefighter Veimoen, to your knowledge, comply with the vaccination requirement by October 13th, 2021?
He did not.
And how do you know that?
We run a report in the People and Pay portal, which our human resources folks can run that and get that information.
Chief, I'd now like you to turn to the next page, which has been bait stamped Veimoen 5.
Okay, I see it.
Do you recognize this letter?
Yes, it is. It is a letter telling him that he did not comply you know, what the process is.
Now, I see on the first page of this letter, there's a rectangle at the center of the page. Can you tell me what that rectangle represents?
Yeah, that was cut and pasted from the People and Pay portal, and it lists Leif Veimoen, H2, which is a firefighter, and that he is not vaccinated.
Directing you, Chief, and the members of the commission to the page which has been date stamped page 54 of this packet, please.
0054, council?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, and
Okay. Looks like everyone's there. Chief, do you recognize this letter?
I do.
This is a letter from Artis Graham, Employee Relations Director for the city, directed to Sean Buford, President of Local 798 San Francisco Firefighters Union. Do you understand what the purpose of this letter was?
Yes, it was to document the agreement that was made between 798 and the city's Department of Human Resources regarding the you know, safer return together health order in terms of the need to be vaccinated and what would happen if they were not vaccinated.
Okay. Now, Chief, I'd like to end by asking you to address a couple criticisms. Now, at the beginning of this hearing, you heard members of this public accuse you of acting politically. So I'd like to ask you, did your personal politics play any role in your decision to recommend Firefighter Veimoen's separation?
I'm going to check this to relevance.
okay, that's overruled.
No.
Now, you've also heard members of the public accuse you of attempting to sabotage Firefighter Veimoen's career. Do you have any response to that criticism?
I am not attempting to sabotage anyone's career. This is, you know, not enjoyable for anyone. But if Firefighter Veimoen walked to the local Walgreens and got a shot, you know, and got vaccinated, we would welcome him back with open arms.
Thank you. No more questions at this time. At this point, the department requests that all its exhibits be moved into evidence.
All right, any objection?
There's no objection to the exhibits being moved into evidence. No.
Thank you, council. So exhibits 1 and 2 is what I have, Mr. Yan, and they would be admitted at this time.
Yes, ma'am, that looks correct. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's proceed. Madam Court Reporter, are you fine to proceed with cross at this time?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Gibson.
So I'll be referencing the same set of exhibits that Mr. Yan did, since we didn't have an opportunity to put together the exhibits for Mr. Veimoen. So we'll just be using the same set. If everyone could keep that out, please.
I have it in front of me.
Okay.
Okay, and all right, and I would like to make a comment upon that. You know, we did, before you begin, this has gone on from quite some time, and the member has submitted documents to the commission by the deadline that was set for him and moved for him and then moved again for him. So it's not as if he doesn't have exhibits that he submitted and that they were somehow denied entry. So I just want to make that clear on the record. And you, of course, are free to do as you feel fit with exhibits 1 and 2, but do know that we have exhibits previously submitted by the member, and I can, they were submitted March 8th of 2022.
That may be. My office was not provided with any opportunity to provide additional documents or exhibits once we came on board. So whatever documents that he submitted, we will not be using or requesting to be admitted into evidence, because we are reserving our right to any FEHA related claims for a later time. Just to be clear, we'll be using the same exhibits as the city and county.
All right. Okay, let's proceed then. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, Chief Nicholson.
Good afternoon.
Now, earlier on, you referenced some data that you had either looked at or spoken about with the county physician. What specific data, if any, did you look at in order to determine that unvaccinated firefighters experienced a higher mortality rate than the unvaccinated ones?
So I listened to the scientists and the doctors, and I listened to the department doctor, Dr. Brokaw, as well as the city health officer, Dr. Susan Phillip, and the evidence that they presented to myself and other department heads.
Is there any single study or any citation that you can provide us with that would prove what you just stated, that there was a higher mortality rate for unvaccinated firefighters as opposed to the vaccinated?
I know there are some out there. I don't know exactly what, nor do I have them in my hands.
Sitting here today, you can't cite a single study that proves what you just said, can you?
Objection asked and answered, argumentative.
All right. So I think she has to answer the question.
Well, I know you do. That's why you asked it. I can overrule the objection and I'll allow her to answer.
So I cannot cite a study, no, not off the top of my head, no.
And your job title is the fire chief, right? I mean, that's your job title right now. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And how long have you been the fire chief for the city and county of San Francisco Fire Department?
Just about 3 years.
What I'd like to do is look at Bates number 002.
Okay, I see it.
Okay. Now, this is a letter dated November 3rd, 2021. It is 2 pages long, Bates numbered 0002 through 0003. On the second page of this letter, I see your signature. Is that your signature?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. And in this letter, first of all, did you write this letter?
No, I obviously reviewed it and had some input, but I did not personally write it.
Who was the person who actually wrote this letter dated November 3rd?
So my staff and I, we worked together to come up with certain documents, and that was done here, as well as our city attorney.
So who specifically on your staff was responsible for authoring the November 3rd letter?
There wasn't one person specifically, is what I'm saying.
How many people were there?
Objection relevance.
Now overruled.
I don't know.
Okay, so you signed a 2-page letter to Mr. Veimoen dated November 3rd, 2021, and sitting here today, you do not know who the authors of that letter were. Is that correct?
That is incorrect, and that is not what I stated.
Okay, who were the people who wrote the letter dated November 3rd of 2021?
There were several people involved, including our city attorney, our director of our own human resources, Jesus Bouchon, and I know there was input from others, but I'm not exactly sure whom. But those are the last 2 people that I believe I received the document from.
Was there any portion of this letter that you specifically authored, or was it all written by other people?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I wrote any of this. I often rewrite things that come to me. So I don't recall.
Do you know whether or not you rewrote this specific letter dated November 3rd of 2021?
I don't remember if I edited it or not. I don't know.
And this particular letter dated November 3rd to Mr. Veimoen threatens to terminate his position, correct?
It explains the procedure and the process, yes.
Did you think that it was so unimportant that you don't even know who the people are who authored it?
Objection, that's argumentative.
Yeah, sustained.
So was there anybody else besides the city attorney and Jesus Bichong who you can specifically remember had a part in authoring this letter?
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained.
Okay. So if you look at this letter, there are 3 reasons delineated for the termination of Mr. Veimoen from the department. Isn't that right?
Can you point to what you are referring to?
Well, if you look at the first page and the very first paragraph, there are 2 reasons discussed there, right? You have number 1, which is the failure to comply with the health officer order number C19-07Y. Do you agree that that was one of the reasons set forth in your November 3rd letter?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the second reason I have is the failure to comply with General Order A70. Do you see that?
Yes, and just to be clear, it is General Order 21A70. Yes.
General Order 21A70. Okay. And then the third reason, if you look at the second page of this correspondence, is that Mr. Veimoen endangers the health and safety of the city workforce and the public. So the specific words are, and this is on the second paragraph of the second page, Firefighter Veimoen's failure to comply with the vaccination requirement endangers the health and safety of the city's workforce and the public we serve. That would be the third reason. Do you see that?
I do see it, yes.
Okay. Now, aside from the 3 reasons that you provided in this November 3rd letter, were there any other reasons that you had in mind for terminating Mr. Veimoen from his position when you signed this recommendation?
Not that I can think of. No, he refused to abide by the health order and the general order.
Okay, yeah, I just want to be clear that there's not something else that I'm missing, that these are the 3 reasons and there's not anything else. Is that correct?
Yes, he did not comply with the health order or the general order. Correct.
Okay, so what you're doing is you're giving me 2 reasons other than 3. Is the third reason relating to public health? Is that not something that you agree with?
No, that is part of it. Yes. Whatever is in this letter, yes, is all part of it.
Okay, and with respect to the third reason where you say that Mr. Veimoen's failure to comply with the vaccination requirement endangers the health and safety of the city's workforce, is that a sentence that you specifically recall authoring yourself?
I don't recall.
Do you know whether or not anyone who is medically qualified, like an MD or anyone like that, wrote this sentence?
I don't know.
Okay. What I'd like to do is talk about the order of the health officer, C19-07Y updated, the last version of which was updated on October 13th of 2021.
Can you give me the Bates number, the Bates stamp?
Sure. So the first page is going to be 0007. All right. Now, is this the critical document to support your recommendation for the separation of Mr. Veimoen from his position?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And have you read the entirety of the order?
I did at one point, but it's been a while.
And when you say a while, can you estimate approximately how long that might have been?
No, I can't.
Okay. Do you know whether or not it was at any point in the last 3 months?
That I read it, I did not read it in its entirety in the last 3 months. Have I read the updates? Yes.
Okay. And so with respect to only the October 13th, 2021 version of the health order, when was the last time that you read that order?
I don't recall.
Okay. And isn't it true that you believe that an important requirement of the health order and the general order 21A70 is that firefighter Veimoen become fully vaccinated?
Yes, that is the health order, that he become fully vaccinated. Yes.
All right. And then when you were being examined on your direct by Mr. Yan, I think we determined that the only place where a definition of fully vaccinated exists is in the health order. Is that correct?
That is the one that I utilized.
And have you seen or do you know of any other definition of fully vaccinated that has come up anywhere over the course of the past year?
So I am not a physician, and I rely on the physicians and the experts within the city and county of San Francisco government to do that research and to put out the health order.
Okay. And what I'd like to do is just, I'm going to read it one more time for you. This is section K. You already read it, so it's just to refresh your memory. Fully vaccinated and full vaccination mean 2 weeks after completing the entire recommended series of vaccination, usually 1 or 2 doses, with a vaccine authorized to prevent COVID-19 by the FDA, including by way of emergency use authorization or by the World Health Organization. So for reference, if you want to look at it again, that's going to be on page 0009, and it's item K at the bottom of the page. I just want to confirm that you agree that this is a definition that you believe applies to firefighter Veimoen and his becoming fully vaccinated.
So I'm not going to parse out parts of the health order. I use the health order in its entirety to make this determination.
Correct. I just want to make sure that we're both understanding, the same definition. So if there's some other understanding that you have with respect to what is meant by fully vaccinated, then I'm entitled to know what your understanding is. If it's not item K or if it's something else.
So all of item K, yes. You just read one small portion of it, though.
Okay. So if we're looking at item K in its entirety on Bates stamp number 0009, then we can both agree that that is the definition that you understand applies to Mr. Veimoen with respect to him becoming fully vaccinated. Is that right?
I would say that all of K, fully vaccinated, that is on Bates stamp 0009 and 0010 are what is fully vaccinated. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so there's no other understanding of what the term fully vaccinated means to you other than what it says under the definition provision in the health order. Is that right?
That is what yes, that is what I've used, and that is what I know.
Okay. And you believe that the primary intent of the health order is to protect the community from COVID-19 and to prevent the spread of COVID-19, correct?
Sorry, can you ask that again? You put a bunch of, yeah, can you ask that again, please?
Sure. You believe that the primary intent of the health order is to protect the community from COVID-19 and to prevent the spread of COVID-19, correct?
Yes, it is to protect the public, and part of that protecting the public would be vaccinating people. The more people that are vaccinated, the fewer folks are likely to pass the virus on.
And what are you basing that determination upon?
I am basing that on the experts that I rely on within the city and county of San Francisco Fire Department and Department of Public Health.
And is what you just said in the health order anywhere?
Is what I said is what in the health order?
Any portion of the health order that discusses the reduction of mortality.
Well, I'm gonna say that's a vague question.
Yeah.
If you want to rephrase it or break it down, Ms. Gibson, you can do that. But that just in and of itself is just too vague.
Well, the way I understand it, the chief just said that she understood that there was, a reduction in mortality. I would want to know if she's looking at anything in the health order that discusses a reduction in mortality. Is there anything?
Madam President, may I be heard?
Of course.
If Ms. Gibson is asking the chief to testify to portions of the health order, then I think the chief needs to, take the time to read the health order. So if Ms. Gibson would like to use the remainder of her time for that, I think, the chief should be afforded an opportunity to review the health order and find the portions that refer to the issues that Ms. Gibson is referring to.
It seems to me that it would be incumbent upon the chief to know what is in the health order and not have to cede my time to have her review it.
I don't think, I disagree that it's incumbent upon the chief to have committed to memory a 55-page document. She does have other things to do.
No, there's no requirement as to memory. It's just a very basic question. She's citing mortality statistics, and I don't know that there's anything that anything to do with that in the health order. I'm just asking if she knows. If she doesn't know, that's fine.
I mean, the health order has been, I'm just looking at it now here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 revisions of it. And if you have a specific question for her, that's one thing. But I'm not going to allow you to question her on all 8 revisions, or you need to be a little more specific in terms of what you're saying. And you also may want to focus a little bit on the public and not just the member. That may help here.
Why don't we look at page 0012 of the health order, which is dated October 13th of 2021. The very bottom of that page, there's a section called intent.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll just read it for everyone's convenience. The primary—
Okay, slowly, please, Ms. Gibson, for the court reporter, please.
The primary intent of this order is to continue to protect the community from COVID-19 and to also increase vaccination rates to reduce transmission of COVID-19 long-term so that the whole community is safer and the COVID-19 health emergency can come to an end. The very next paragraph, section C, interpretation, states all provisions of this order must be interpreted to effectuate the purposes and intent of this order as described as above. So does that help refresh your memory with respect to the intent of the order, Chief Nicholson?
Yes. Paragraph B, yes.
Okay. And so what I want to do also is look at General Order A70. You understand that the General Order A70 was implemented on August 10th of 2021. Is that correct? And just for reference, I'll give you the page number. It's 0043.
That is correct. August 10th. Yes, ma'am.
All right. And so you understand August 10th was obviously, before the updated health order C19-07Y on October 13th of 2021, correct?
August is prior to October, yes.
Okay, so you understand that the health order supersedes the general order 21A70 to the extent that there are conflicting provisions. Is that correct?
So we are bound by the health order that everyone be fully vaccinated. Our members are also bound by the general order, which requires them to be fully vaccinated.
So my question is a little bit different. What I want to make sure that I'm getting an answer to is whether or not you understand that to the extent that there are any conflicting provisions between the August 10th general order and the September 13th or the October 13th health order, that the health order will supersede and control. Is that your understanding?
So that's a really broad question, and I think it's going to depend upon the part of the health order. But if you're talking in terms of vaccination, then yes, we would have to abide by the city and county's health order.
Okay, and just to, if it helps to refresh your recollection, If you go to page 0026 of the health order and you look at paragraph 11, let me know when you're there.
I see it.
Okay, so now if you go about halfway through paragraph 11, you can see a sentence that starts out, in the event. Let me know when you get there.
Yes, I see it.
Okay. In the event of a conflict between provisions of any previously issued health officer order or directive and this order controls over the conflicting provisions of the other health officer order or directive. Do you see that?
I do see that.
Okay. And so do you also understand that the health order controls in the event that a prior order is less restrictive?
Yes, I believe it says that in the sentence above.
Okay. All right. And so I'd also like to look at, well, yeah, you're right. So that's paragraph 10 and 11. You're correct. So you've known since mid-2021 that firefighters who are fully vaccinated are still contracting COVID-19, correct?
They are contracting it, but not ending up in the hospital as they have in the past.
Okay. And you've known since 2021 that even after all firefighters in the department were fully vaccinated, COVID was still spreading throughout the department. Isn't that correct?
So some members did get COVID, yes.
Okay. And you got COVID as well in December, isn't that right? Oh, it's December of 2021.
I did, and I wasn't very sick at all. So I was really glad that I had been vaccinated.
And were you able to test in order to come back to work, in order to determine whether or not you were still carrying the virus?
I did test to come back to work.
Okay. And you are not a medical doctor, are you?
I am not.
And you are not a virologist, correct? Or an immunologist?
That's correct.
Okay. And you have not done any substantial investigation as to the efficacy, nature, and effect of various COVID-19 treatments currently being offered, have you?
So again, I will say that I have, relied on the health experts that work for the city and county of San Francisco, from the Department of Public Health, the health officer, Susan Phillip, as well as our own department physician, Dr. Brokaw.
Aside from any conversation that you claim to have had with any health expert, is there any other substantial investigation that you've done with respect to the efficacy, nature, and effect of various COVID-19 treatments currently being offered?
No, again, I rely on the experts. That's what we have them for.
And as of November 3rd of 2021, you knew with certainty that COVID-19 infections were occurring in firefighters that you knew were fully vaccinated, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And as of November 3rd of 2021, you knew with certainty that COVID-19 infections were spreading among firefighters who were fully vaccinated, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Among some of them, yes.
And as of November 3rd of 2021, you had no knowledge that COVID-19 infections were occurring in unvaccinated firefighters at a rate greater than vaccinated firefighters, correct?
I have no information on that, but all of our firefighters were required to be vaccinated by October 13th.
Okay. And as of November 3rd of 2021, you had no knowledge that COVID-19 infections were being spread by the unvaccinated firefighters at a rate greater than vaccinated firefighters anywhere, correct?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I'm a little confused by that.
I need that to be repeated too, because
And I just want to let you know that
didn't
the
follow it exactly.
20 minutes is up. Will I let the clock run?
This question will be Ms. Gibson's last question. Okay. So if you
Well,
please.
I can, if my time is up, I can ask a different question.
Well, that's up to you, or I can have the court reporter read back the question you just asked and ask the chief to answer it. Your call.
I'll ask my last question, a
All
different
right.
question. By November of 2021, when you had learned that the so-called fully vaccinated were contracting and spreading COVID-19, did you try to speak with your superiors to stop the attempt to terminate qualified, exceptionally committed firefighters who did not wish to take these experimental shots?
I'm going to object to that question. It's totally argumentative. Sorry, just going to do it. Can't help myself. If you want to rephrase, I'll give you an opportunity to rephrase in an unbiased way that asks a question, not makes a statement.
By November of 2021, when you had learned that the so-called fully vaccinated were contracting and spreading COVID-19, did you do anything in order to stop the non-disciplinary separation of firefighters who did not wish to take the COVID-19 vaccine?
So I don't know that my firefighters were actually, my vaccinated firefighters were spreading it, or if they were getting it outside of work from someone who was not vaccinated. So I don't actually have that information. And I did not stop any of the separation process, if that's the question. That's correct.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to take a 10-minute recess. It's 3:04 according to my computer clock, and we will reconvene at 3:15. Madam Court Reporter, does that work for you?
That's great. Thank you.
All right, we'll reconvene at 3:15. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
Just looking, do we have everybody? I believe so. Okay, eh, there seems to be a bit of confusion on timing here. The member, when he was represented by another representative, requested
Is this on the record?
this does not need to, I don't think. Mr. Rusty, do you think this needs to be on? You do? Okay.
Yes.
All right, then, sorry, Madam Court Reporter,
That's okay.
please.
Okay.
Okay.
I initially requested more time, Madam President.
You did, and I granted it. And so, but the question is, it is up to you, of course. You are, the person here. But I'm gonna have you and your counsel can determine it. You are entitled to a total of an hour. That includes, though, your cross-examination of any witnesses that the department puts forward, as well as your own witnesses and your own testimony. And so I don't know what your intent is, given that you essentially changed counsel. And I know Mr. Giacolini isn't an attorney, but there's been a switch in the middle of this. So I'm sort of trying to figure out where we are. I know I cannot, although I see our commission secretary, I can't discern the number that's on the clock.
Okay, so there is, they've used their 20 minutes that I had put on the clock, not realizing there was additional time asked for. I thought it was an hour total for both sides. They're 20 minutes and then they're 5 and 5. So they used their 20 minutes plus an additional 2 minutes and 10 seconds.
All right, so I'm going to turn to you, Ms. Gibson, as counsel. Do you wish further cross-examination of the chief? How would you like to use your time?
Well, I think that depends on how many witnesses the department intends to call.
Well, Mr. Yan can respond. You, Ms. Gibson, asked me to disregard the filings that your client made prior to your representation. And so I don't know what to rely upon. He submitted 5 witnesses, and
No, I'm not sure that the department intends to call any additional witnesses. That was my question. Are they done with their witnesses? Is it now? Is it now?
The answer is yes. We have the department has no further witnesses at this time.
Okay, thank you. Then what I think I'd like to do is to move ahead, and we can question our witnesses.
All right. Do you have further, though? I want to try to keep this straight here. Admittedly, it's difficult when representation is changed in the middle of everything that goes back and forth between. I think we have 3 case management conferences and continuances, et cetera, et cetera. So my question is, do you have further questions for the chief of the department? I didn't mean to cut you off prematurely, but I'm trying to navigate this as much as anybody else is.
I think it's fine to move on to our witness at this point.
Okay,
that's fine. I want to be clear that there's an hour for testimony. So between cross-examination and direct, the total couldn't be more than an hour, correct?
Yes, I agree. Yes, that's right. So I'm offering you, if you have further questions for the chief on cross, you can take advantage of that. It is using up your time for your own witnesses, but you have that option. And I I leave that to you. I don't know, and I'll just, Mr. Yan, I'm sorry. Did you just tell me that you have no further witnesses?
No.
All right, so
No, we have
you're
no
gonna,
further.
okay, all right, so.
Madam
the
President?
turn-
Excuse me,
Yes.
Madam President, for the record,
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm looking at a screen of rectangles and I wasn't sure who was speaking. Yes, sure.
Firefighter Veimoen, Madam President, Steve Giacalone is just the union board member who was answering some questions for me. He has not been my legal representation.
I'm not saying he was your legal representation, but when this matter came before us, and this was back in February, he was your only representation, and yeah, I have a whole file folder full of communications about the number of continuances. I think which were 4 or 5, and what have you. A request for more time, etc. And I'm trying to sort of put now piece things together because the scenario has changed. And so I just want to make sure we are all clear on how we are going to proceed. And I leave that to you and your counsel. So in order to proceed, I think I have heard from Ms. Gibson, and she may correct me, that she has no further questions for the chief of the department. Am I correct?
Yeah, why don't we move on to our witness? And I would call Mr. Veimoen as the witness.
Okay, before you do that, I just want to make sure, and if I'm overlooking something, did the city move its exhibit or not move its exhibits? I'm taking notes here, but
they did.
Yes, we did.
You did. Okay, so they were admitted. Exhibits 1 and 2 were admitted into evidence. Is the city resting?
Yes, ma'am. The department rests.
Okay, there you go.
And can I just ask a quick question? This is Maureen, the commission secretary.
Thank you.
I've added the extra minutes onto the member's time, who now has 38 minutes left.
Oh my goodness, you just went away. Okay, 1 minute, please.
And am I adding the same for the department?
Okay, I need a minute. I just got, although you can hear me, I can't, let me see. I don't know why. I need to re-sign in, if everybody will bear with me 1 minute. I can hear everybody. I cannot get a picture.
We can see you.
It just tells me a WebEx meeting is already in progress. You must run another web browser to start another meeting.
If you go down to the bottom of your computer where all the open links are.
Okay, let me look. Let's see. Oh, an easy solution. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Secretary. I'm never going to excel in computer science. That's all I can say. Thank you. I apologize to everybody. Okay, so are we clear now?
No, so my question was, is the department getting the additional 40 minutes as well?
Oh, yes, both sides
Okay.
have the same amount of time, and I don't know if they want to present any rebuttal evidence or what have you. But the main thing is the member gets the entirety of his time.
Okay, so that's 38 minutes left.
Okay, all right. I apologize to everybody. Computer literacy is not one of my strengths, clearly. So let us proceed. Here's Ms. Gibson. Okay, I apologize, Ms. Gibson. So please feel free to call your first witness and we will proceed.
We would like to call firefighter Leif Veimoen.
All right. And sir, if you would kindly raise your right hand to be sworn by the court reporter.
Wait, he needs to take himself off of mute. Just want to make sure he does that.
Thank you.
I'm not the only one, so that's good.
Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Will you please state your name for the record?
Leif Veimoen.
And will you please state your job title?
H2 firefighter with the San Francisco Fire Department.
And how long have you worked for the City and County of San Francisco Fire Department?
Roughly about 3 years.
And during the year 2021, were you working for the San Francisco Fire Department?
Absolutely.
Did you respond to any fires during the summer of 2021?
Yes.
And did you respond to any rescues that required you to be in close contact with members of the public during the summer of 2021?
Absolutely. We assist in all different kinds of rescues. We're a team. We operate as a team, and I assisted. Worked at Station 51. We would assist in water rescues, bringing victims out of the water, providing medical care. Lots of bicycle accidents down there. Vehicle extrications. Elevator rescues. Want to get detailed down to 3 quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, we went to fires. We're always searching for life. Because that's our priority.
Did you ever ask any of the victims that you were responding to whether or not they were vaccinated for COVID-19?
Never. Our duty is to respond and act when they dial 911 and they need us. So no, that's not on our top of our list.
Okay.
If this is a medical call that dictates something, then maybe I would go that route of asking that patient.
What I'd like to do is to turn your attention to the order of the health officer, C19-07Y, the updated version dated October 13th of 2021 that we've all been discussing.
Sorry, Ms. Gibson, I don't mean to interrupt. Could you give me the base number again, please?
So I'm about to get there, but the first page of the health order is 0007. That's the bait stamped in the lower right-hand corner.
Yes, no, I didn't catch the number that you called, so thank you. Okay, I'm with you. Thank you very much.
Okay, now what I'd like you to do, Mr. Veimoen, is to look at page 3 of the health order, which is page 0009 of the health officer's order, or sorry, of the bait stamp numbers. You get what I'm saying. And I'd like you to look at the definition of fully vaccinated, which is item K there. Now, can you read that section for me, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Slowly, please, so the court reporter can report it.
Of course, Madam President.
Thank you.
Section K, page 3, fully vaccinated and full vaccination mean 2 weeks after completing the entire recommended series of vaccination, usually 1 or 2 doses, with a vaccine authorized to prevent COVID-19 by the FDA, including by way of an emergency use authorization or by the World Health Organization, WHO, period.
Okay, what do you understand?
Objection, misstates the record. I believe counsel asked the witness to read the definition, and I believe only half the definition was read.
That is the definition. Examples are not a definition.
That's what I indicated right there. It says.
I'm going to overrule the objection, and Mr. Yan, you can address that on cross-examination.
Okay.
Thank you. Sir, you can go ahead and answer.
Oh, I was told to read the definition. Would you like me to continue reading the example, for example?
I'm going to leave that, Ms. Gibson. Yes.
There's no problem with reading it. You can go ahead.
Okay. Yes, thank you. I just want to be doing everything I'm supposed to.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you, Madam President. For example, as of the date of issuance of this order, an individual would be fully vaccinated at least 2 weeks after receiving a second dose of the Pfizer BioNTech Comirnaty. It's spelled COMIRNATY, or Moderna COVID-19 vaccine, or 2 weeks after receiving the single dose Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. A list of FDA authorized vaccines is available at www.fda.
You don't have to read you don't have to read the website unless Ms. Gibson has an objection. And I mean, I can just answer for you, moving on to 0010, that it states where there is a list of WHO authorized vaccines with another website, and then it states on August 23rd, 2021, the FDA granted full approval for the Pfizer BioNTech Comirnaty. I have same trouble with this word.
Me too, Madam.
Vaccine for people age 16 and older.
Yeah, Madam President, I just want to comment that I did call my local pharmacist about the Comirnaty vaccine, and it's not out here in the United States. They don't have it at a pharmacy. And I asked them if there was anything that's been approved by the FDA, and they said no. These are all emergency use authorization injection.
All right, please continue, Ms. Gibson.
Okay, so based on what you just read, and I really want to make sure that the witness is testifying and responding to the questions that I'm asking. And I appreciate your desire to help Commissioner Feinstein, but it is important because he is the one under oath. But based on the totality of what was just read, Mr. Veimoen, what is your understanding of what that definition means?
That this health order is claiming that fully vaccinated and full vaccination mean 2 weeks after completed the entire recommended series of these vaccines, whether it's a 1 or 2 dose regimen that are listed here, that the individual will be considered vaccinated. But it absolutely, it says that are authorized to prevent. It's a very, that's the descriptive word that sticks out to me. It says that it prevents COVID-19.
Okay. What I'd also like to do is I'd like to look at the same health order, but it's a few pages later. It's page 0012. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Sorry, it's page 0018 of the Bates stamped numbers, page 12 of the health order. Okay, and what I'd like you to do is look at page, it's the same page, section 6A3 at the bottom of the page. Do you see that?
6A3, 6 alpha 3. Yes.
Yes. And can you please read that provision 6A3 of the public health order?
For purposes of this order, personnel who are not permanently stationed or regularly assigned to a high-risk setting, but who in the course of their duties may enter or work in high-risk settings, even on an intermittent or occasional basis, or for short periods of time, are considered to routinely work on site in high-risk settings. No later than October 13, 2021, businesses and governmental entities with such personnel are required to 1. Ascertain vaccination status of all such personnel, and 2. Ensure that before entering or working in any high-risk setting, all such personnel are fully vaccinated.
Okay, and you can keep going.
Okay. With any vaccine authorized to prevent COVID-19 by the FDA, including by way of an emergency use authorization, or by the World Health Organization, unless exempt under Section D below. Additionally,
Okay, so just given what you just read right now, is there any reason why you would not be able to comply with this provision of the health order?
yes,
And why is that?
because it says in here that it's authorized to prevent COVID-19 by the FDA. It doesn't serve its intent purpose. Yeah, we intermittently enter high-risk settings, but I am no threat. And there's nothing that prevents COVID-19 by the FDA accessible to the members of the San Francisco Fire Department.
Okay, based on your own personal experience, is there any reason that you believe COVID-19 vaccinations don't reduce the transmission of COVID-19?
Can you repeat that?
Yes, based on your own personal experience, is there any reason that you believe that COVID-19 vaccinations don't reduce the transmission of COVID-19?
Yeah, I have many of my fellow firefighters, brothers and sisters in the San Francisco Fire Department and fire departments all over this country who have taken the vaccines that are emergency authorization vaccines that were provided. And it is obvious that, I mean, you have 100% vaccinated workforce in San Francisco in the fire department. Why are you having such an uptick in numbers of sick people with testing positive for COVID-19? With, I think, the population, I think there's like 85 to 87% of San Francisco residents are vaccinated. So how are 100% vaccinated firefighters having such a substantial amount of concentration of positive hits? You know, and then you look at like all the stuff around the holidays, December 2021. There was all the holiday parties. There was so many sick people who were all vaccinated at Christmas and holiday parties. It's absurd. And then Chief Janine Nicholson was judging Christmas decorations without a mask on, fully vaccinated. I'm not sure if she was boosted. At least to my knowledge right now, I am making that assumption that she is vaccinated because she's the highest ranking member of the fire department. But it was clear that the chief got COVID after doing this Christmas decoration thing, and it was public. Like the PIO posted about it. It was out there for the public. You know, I mean, this is really it's quite obvious to me that it's very ineffective. It does not work, and this policy is failing. It has failed.
So in the definition that we read earlier, Mr. Yan pointed out that there were some examples.
I'm sorry, objection, Madam President. I apologize. I was going to object after the last question, but I was muted. Objection, move to strike the member's answer as speculative.
No, I'm gonna overrule the objection. It's his opinion, and I'll allow it to remain in the record.
My apologies, Ms. Gibson.
Mr. Veimoen, earlier on, Mr. Yan had pointed out that there were examples provided after the definition in section K that we just read. And some of those examples included 2 doses of the Pfizer vaccine, 2 doses of the Moderna vaccine, 1 of the Johnson & Johnson. Do you recall that reading that section?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And do you have any reason to believe that those vaccinations set forth in the examples have been ineffective in terms of reducing the transmission of COVID-19?
They are not effective, and I have personal experiences of my fellow coworkers who were out for weeks and months, and it's gut-wrenching. It really is. It's really sad that my brothers and sisters are going through this. And as of right now, I mean, look, you have so many people who don't have their boosters, so aren't they technically not vaccinated, right? I mean, that's what your health order says. So you tell me, how come people haven't had their booster yet, and you're moving the goalpost? Keep on moving it, keep on moving it, keep on moving it. So where are all these people? What are they going to do? Are they going to be in my situation?
What I'd like to do just briefly is look at the general order A70, and I can point you to the Bates stamp number. It is 0043. Once you get there, please let me know.
0043.
Correct.
Okay, yes.
Now, have you reviewed General Order 21A70?
Yes, I have many times.
Did you understand it?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Did you understand which order between Order A70 and the health order would control in the event that there were conflicting provisions?
Yes, there are conflicting provisions. Sorry, I'm looking to see if I have. What's the date on that one?
I'm sorry?
What is the date of the general order?
If you look on the right-hand upper corner, it's there on page 0043.
Okay.
Have we established a date?
August 10th of 2021, but I want to make sure
That's what I show. I want to make sure we're all looking at the same thing.
I'm on it now.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And so you do believe that you understand that the general order will be superseded by the public health order in the event of a conflicting provision?
Yes, if there is conflict, then it will supersede it. Correct.
Okay. Was there any reason that you were prevented as of 2021 from performing your essential functions as a firefighter?
No.
Is there any conceivable reason that you can think of that would cause the fire department undue hardship if you were to continue working there?
Absolutely not. I love my job.
Okay. And between the dates of June 1st, 2021 and September 13th of 2021, is there any situation that you are aware of wherein you spread COVID-19 to anyone else while on the job as a firefighter?
Absolutely not. Nope.
All right. And during this same range of dates, were you wearing masks and socially distancing from one another at the fire department?
All the time, meticulously. I've always trying to protect my brothers and sisters. It was very uncertain what was going on. and we didn't know what the right precautions were because we were getting all these, health order this week, health order that week, general order this week, and it was so much bombardment of things that we were all very concerned and trying to protect each other and our families and the public most of all.
And you said that you were masking and socially distancing while you were working. As far as you know, during that time, while you were masking and socially distancing and working as a firefighter in 2021, did your presence there lead to any member of the public catching COVID-19?
Objection calls for speculation.
Yeah, sustained.
As far as you know, did that lead to any member of the public catching COVID-19?
Same objection.
Same ruling. Sustained.
All right. And as far as you know, did any other firefighter ever contract COVID-19 because of you or your actions while you were working during the year 2021?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained. The bottom line here is, how would any individual person, firefighter or not, know that they prevented the infection of someone else, or if someone was infected, that the infection came from the firefighter? All of that is speculation. Maybe true, maybe not true, but it's speculation.
Isn't that true, though, whether you're vaccinated or not? There's no way to know.
I don't testify here. I'm not a witness.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I was asking, though, is if he knows within the realm of his personal knowledge. And so that's not speculation. If he knew that he gave it to someone, then we would want to get that on the record, right?
No, I have not been sick.
Okay, same objection,
It is
speculation.
the same, and let's move on. It's sustained. Let's move on. There's no way to know that, and so let's move on.
Mr. Veimoen, do you want to comply with the health order C19-07Y updated?
I always want to comply with every order that I am given by my superiors.
Okay. And are you waiting for a specific type of vaccine to become available, or what is the reason that you feel that you can't comply?
It does not prevent COVID-19. I realized in 2021, after seeing all the stuff in December with the chief, especially giving COVID to various fire stations, potentially, that it is there's not enough research and development involved here to, I don't know, I'm not a virologist. I just have my sincerely held belief, and it's hard for me to even wrap my head around what this whole thing is about right now.
Okay.
This is so difficult. I really don't understand why this has taken 7 months, and I'm at a point where my wife had to cancel her doctor's appointments today, and I didn't get a response back from HR about my insurance being canceled. I don't think a lot of you understand how this feels. This is not okay. It's not okay to put a firefighter or anybody through this.
Mr. Veimoen, earlier on, you had commented that you had tried to obtain a fully FDA-approved vaccination. Is that correct?
I did my own research to see what was out there. I called my own pharmacist, and I asked them where I've been going my whole life. I said, is there an FDA-approved vaccine? Because my work said, weeks after it was FDA approved, it would be available, for members and required. That has still not happened on United States soil, I guess. I don't know the stipulations behind this availability of this apparently approved COVID-19 vaccine. But I called up and they don't have one that prevents COVID-19.
As far as you are aware, is there any fully FDA approved vaccination for COVID-19 that is available in the United States?
No.
All right. Did the department, and by that I mean the San Francisco Fire Department, ever provide you with any information about the risks of taking the available COVID-19 vaccinations that were available under the emergency use authorization?
No, it was very in your face. You're getting vaccinated. That was the is what the membership of the San Francisco Fire Department got the impression from downtown.
So just to be clear, did you ever get any fact sheet about the potential adverse reactions you might
Nope. Nope. And then like the health effects, the vaccinations, like even maybe list like you could possibly die from being vaccinated. There's all kinds of. There was no list of anything. There was no link sent to us about like, hey, are you questioned? Like,
Okay. And did anybody at the fire department ever specifically talk to you about taking the COVID-19 vaccination?
Just in my formal hearings with or meetings with Jesus Bouchon, I had also in the room was Tim Finch from the union and one of the chiefs, Department of Homeland Security Chief Erica Artesaros.
Okay. And so did you ever have any conversation with Chief Janine Nicholson about taking the COVID-19 vaccination?
Other than my separation determination hearing, where she read off the general order and the health order with Jesus Bouchon.
Now, did you ever have a Skelly hearing?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. No, I did not get a Skelly hearing.
Okay. And during this hearing that you're describing with Chief Janine Nicholson, were you permitted to ask questions as far as you know?
I believe it was at the end you could ask questions, but it was very intimidating, demoralizing. I felt separated from the herd. I don't know how else you want to say it. Yeah, it was very uncomfortable. It was, it felt very unethical, and I felt like I shouldn't. Yeah, I have a lot of respect and love for the fire service. It's my life, and I don't understand how public servants are treated this way. I love San Francisco. My family's been there for 150 years or more. You think?
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. You can go ahead.
I apologize. Go ahead, ma'am.
Do you believe that the hearing that you got, or the so-called hearing that you got with Chief Janine Nicholson, was fair?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Why didn't every other member of the fire department go to this meeting? Why didn't everybody else have to cry their eyes out about, well, I just got married, I'm just trying to create a family, and I just got the job I've worked 7 years for. I worked 7 years to get a job in the fire department. I've been kicking the can around the block for 7 years, and I've been there almost 3. So for the past 10 years, I've showed up at the union hall, helping out with the toy program, helping people out, getting to know people that I care about, that I love, this community, these people, my fellow firefighters. I have so much passion for this city. I love this town. It's my town. I love it. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Veimoen. I don't mean to cut you off at all. If there's anything else you need to say, you can say it.
Sorry. It's not okay. This is not okay.
Okay. I think that's all I have for right now.
All right. Madam Court Reporter, are you okay to proceed with cross-examination?
Yes, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, just I want to clarify one thing before we do that, because I perhaps was ahead of myself here. And to our firefighter, I'm referencing back to 0009, which was the paragraph that your counsel asked you to read, and I interjected basically to avoid a repeat of the various email or website things. Do you otherwise agree that I read it accurately and fairly?
That you read that scripture, the rest of that document correctly?
Just that paragraph. I just left out the websites because
Yeah, no,
they were
that's
so long. That's why I did it.
yeah, I understand. Thank you.
But no, do you agree? I don't want to be unfair. I don't want your record to be unfair. Do you agree that other than the website addresses, which go on, and this is on 0009 and 0010, and it's about what vaccinations are approved or are not approved. Do you agree that I read it correctly, but for I omitted the website addresses?
Yes, you read them correctly. The one that the hard word to say, comarinity.
No, it is. It
right.
is.
Yeah, it's you can't find it in the United States. So.
Okay, but other than that, in terms of the text, do you agree that I read it correctly?
Yeah, I could read it again for you.
No, we don't. But as long as you agree, I didn't omit anything significant or what have you. I just want to have a clear record.
How does my counsel feel about that, Heather?
I think that it was read correctly, and it's fine to say that, but we probably shouldn't spend a whole lot of time on this.
Okay, sounds good. It's
All
fine,
right.
Madam President.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, sorry. Okay, I think we're to Mr. Yan.
Okay. Just 1 second, please. Sorry. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Veimoen. Mr. Veimoen, do you still live at 292 Larry Drive in San Bruno, California?
That's my current residence.
Okay. And now you testified earlier that you attempted to. Well, okay. Let me back up. I'd like you to start.
I want to interject an objection to stating the member's personal address in a forum like this. If we could just limit it to the city, that would be great.
That's fine.
That's fine. I agree, and he's confirming he's a resident of San Bruno. Correct, sir?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
No hiding that.
I think that's fine. That's it. Okay.
Thank you. That's well taken. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, Firefighter Veimoen. I'd like to turn your attention back to the health order, specifically page bait stamp 9, where we go to the definition of fully vaccinated.
So that would be page 3 of the health order, correct?
That's yes, sir.
Yep.
Are you there?
Affirmative. We are there.
Okay. Now, you earlier in this proceeding, you read out loud the definition of fully vaccinated, which includes, any vaccine that is, quote, authorized to prevent COVID-19 by the FDA. Do you see that?
Yes, to prevent.
Right. Did you
COVID-19 by the FDA?
Yes. And at the bottom of that paragraph, there's a link to a website at the FDA that lists vaccines that have been authorized by the FDA to prevent COVID-19. Do you see that, the link?
Yep, fda.gov/emergency authorization. Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. You don't need to read it out loud. I think we all see it. Have you ever gone to that web address to see what vaccines are authorized for COVID-19?
In the beginning of, at some point I did, yes.
Okay.
Not in the past, like 48 hours.
Okay, so I will represent to you that I'm currently looking at that website. Would surprise you to know that Pfizer, BioNTech, Moderna, and Janssen are all listed on the website as vaccines authorized to prevent COVID-19. Would that surprise you, sir?
I'll object.
No, overruled.
Let me I'll pull it up myself so I can look at it with you.
No, you may do that. That's fine.
Okay.
Definitely got to reference this stuff.
Let's look at the website. That can't be true.
Are you having an off the record discussion?
No.
I couldn't hear you, Miss Ms. Gibson. Were you just talking? I saw your lips moving, but I didn't hear anything.
No, I'm just muted.
Okay, that's what I thought. I want to make sure. Okay.
Sorry, I was trying to put in the web address and it wasn't coming up.
Okay. Do you want to take another minute to try it again? Maybe, you misspelled the word or something. It's a long address.
Yeah, no, I'm here at their website. It says vaccines.
Okay, so
I'm at covid.gov. That's what it takes me to.
Okay, well, suffice it to say, have you ever gone to this website?
I've been on the FDA website, yeah. When this whole whatever pandemic thing was imploding.
Okay, so backing up, looking at this paragraph, you would agree with me that at least the health officer recognizes Pfizer, BioNTech, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson as being 3 vaccines authorized to prevent COVID-19 by the FDA, correct?
Object. This calls for speculation and is not, it misrepresents facts.
No, it calls for reading.
Mr. Yan, no.
I apologize.
Overruled. You can ask your question. He can answer the question.
Firefighter Veimoen, do you need me to ask it again?
Yes, please.
Okay, so looking at this paragraph here, you would agree with me that whether or not you personally. I'm sorry?
I'm not looking at your paragraph.
Okay, well, please look at my paragraph. Beginning on Bates stamp page 9, paragraph K.
Okay.
Now, whether or not you agree, whether or not you agree with what it's written in the health order, you would agree with me that the health order lists 3 vaccines, Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson, as being examples of vaccines authorized by the FDA to prevent COVID-19, correct?
So you're asking, do I agree with you that they are listing 3 authorized vaccines to prevent COVID-19 by the FDA?
No, I'm asking you whether you agree with me that this paragraph identifies 3 vaccines as examples of vaccines that you could take.
Yeah, these are just lists of companies, so this stuff, like communitary, I called a pharmacist. So yeah, there might be 2 on here that you might be able to take under emergency EU injections, but
Okay.
There's no Comirnaty vaccine available.
Okay. Now, Firefighter Veimoen, you testified earlier that you called a pharmacy. Is it a pharmacy in your local area?
Yes.
Okay. Now, while you were, earlier, I went online and went to the Walgreens webpage There's a Walgreens in San Bruno, California, where you currently live. Is that the pharmacy that you called, the one at 333 El Camino Real?
Nope.
Okay. Did you call the CVS at 1150 El Camino Real?
No, I called the one at Bay Hill Shopping Center.
Okay.
So I believe the address is Cherry Avenue.
Okay. Well, suffice it to say, if one of these vaccines were available in your local area, would you take it?
No.
Okay. Now, you testified earlier that you do not personally believe these vaccines are effective. Is that correct?
You know, there is so much misinformation out there, and there's so much inconsistent information. It's hard to have validity to what is truthful anymore.
Okay, so the answer to my question would be yes. You do not personally believe that these vaccines are effective. Is that right?
Well, as a direct result of my fellow firefighters being completely, like, what, we have almost 300 people out between December 2021 and January 2022 who were fully 100% vaccinated, sounds like an ineffective solution to public health and managing the fire department's public health.
Right, and that opinion is based on your personal experience, correct?
That opinion? No, these are based on facts. The morale of the fire department is horrible right now. It's so sad.
And I'm sorry, I didn't ask about the morale of the fire department, firefighter.
I need to interrupt. Miss Gibson lost connection.
Okay.
Okay. Shall we pause for a moment? I'm sympathetic.
No, I appreciate that as well, and I think we should wait until she can return.
All right. Shall we take 5 minutes or?
That's fine with me, Madam President.
All right, no objections. We're going to take 5 minutes. And it is, what time is it? 4:14. We're going to reconvene at, let's say, 4:20. We'll get her back.
Oh, wait, I just wanted to let everyone know something happened and I couldn't see or hear anyone for about the past 3 to 4 minutes.
Yeah, we understand, and we're going to take a break so things can get reestablished here. So we're going to reconvene and give everybody at 4:20.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
HR person, Jesus, that last name?
Yes, ma'am. Jesusa, Jesusa.
Mm-hmm.
Bushong, Bushong.
Thank you. I thought I could Google it, but it would be easier to ask. Thanks.
Thank you for your patience, everybody. I'm just double checking here, looking at my rectangles. Do we have, I believe we have everybody back. So, Madam Court Reporter, we're ready to go back on the record. And just for the record, everybody who was previously present is again present.
Okay. Given that Ms. Gibson was not present during the last couple questions I asked, I'll go ahead and ask those questions again.
Well, I can also ask Court Reporter if you wish to read them back.
That's fine as well.
Uh,
But why don't we do it that way?
all right, I think that's more accurate. Do you mind, Madam Court Reporter? Thank you.
Okay.
Last two questions by Mr. Yan to the member.
Wait a minute. Um, okay, I think you need three because to clarify. So the answer to my question is yes, you do not believe these vaccines are effective. Is that correct? Answer, as a direct result of my fellow firefighters, almost 300 people out between September 2021 and January 2022 who were fully 100% vaccinated, sounds like an ineffective solution to public health in managing the fire department's public health. Question, that opinion is based on your personal experience, correct? Answer, that opinion, no. These are based on facts. The morale of the fire department is horrible right now. It's so sad. And then, I'm sorry, I didn't ask about the morale of the fire department. And then Ms. Secretary said, sorry to interrupt, Ms. Gibson lost connection.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. And Ms. Gibson, you're back. You heard all that. You're good.
I did, thank you.
Okay, good. Okay.
Firefighter Veimoen, just a few more questions. So following up on that line that the court reporter just read back to you. So I am correct that based on your personal experiences, you do not believe that the vaccines are effective, and that's why you have not taken them. Is that correct?
Object is compound.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
I applied for a religious exemption, so I don't know what's not clear here.
Objection, non-responsive.
Are you asking? What are you asking? Like,
Well,
I'm saying,
the objection is both sustained and overruled. If he doesn't understand the question, Mr. Yan, you can rephrase it. Otherwise, let's go with that.
Okay.
Please rephrase.
Firefighter Veimoen, you testified. Let me try it this way. Testify. I'm going to read your words, which I wrote down in my notes. You said, quote, I am not a virologist. It is just my sincerely held belief that these vaccines do not work. Do you remember saying that?
something along those lines. I was trying to put together your question because the way you articulate your question was it's hard to wrap everything all around it. So maybe I should ask for more clarity. The key is that there is no vaccine that prevents COVID-19. So even if they say it is authorized to do that, never has the FDA fully authorized. And it should not be I should not be required to take something that's an experimental, that is considered experimental according to the FDA. But most of all, I applied for a exemption.
Okay. Thank you, Firefighter Veimoen. No further questions at this time.
All right. Any redirect, Ms. Gibson?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you to our witness. Does the city have another witness they wish to call?
I'm sorry, you mean the member?
I'm sorry, the member. Thank you. Of course. Yes, I do.
No, we do not.
All right. So I'm sorry. Yes, Mr.
Madam Secretary, at this time, the department would like to recall Chief Nicholson on rebuttal, please.
You may do that.
It was my understanding that the city had rested their case.
They have, but they have the burden of the proof, and they have the right to call somebody on rebuttal, and that can be Chief Nicholson or anybody else.
Okay. So the department recalls Chief Nicholson for rebuttal.
I see Chief Nicholson is now present.
Yes, I am.
Chief Nicholson, I'm just going to remind you, you remain under oath.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Welcome back, Chief Nicholson. During the member's testimony, Firefighter Veimoen testified to his administrative hearing. Do you recall Firefighter Veimoen's administrative hearing?
Yes.
Can you briefly tell the commission what occurred during Firefighter Veimoen's administrative hearing?
So the rules were explained to him, and he was given an opportunity to have the letter that I sent to him. I believe the October 8th letter that I sent to him read. Actually, I don't know what the date was of the letter, but and then he was given every opportunity to make his his side of things heard. And once he finished that, he was asked again if he had anything else to add, and then the meeting was concluded as far as my recollection goes.
Were you present at this meeting, Chief?
I was.
At any point in this meeting, did you or anyone else attempt to intimidate Firefighter Veimoen?
Absolutely not. That's not the point of the meeting. The point of the meeting is to give the member an opportunity to tell us their side of the story, and that's exactly what we did. Just like I have in every other administrative hearing that I've had with other members.
At any point, did you or anyone else attempt to humiliate or demean the firefighter?
Absolutely not.
Was Firefighter Veimoen's administrative hearing different from any other firefighter's administrative hearing in any way?
No, other than what he said to us. It's different than what other people said to us, but no, every other part of it was the same as everyone else's.
Did you pay attention to the firefighter's testimony?
I did.
And did you listen to his side of the story?
I did.
No further questions at this time.
All right, Ms. Gibson.
All right, Chief Nicholson, who was present at Mr. Veimoen's hearing?
For my side, it was Lucy Chu from HR and myself. I don't recall who was there with Firefighter Veimoen or if he was there alone. But I'd have to go back and look at the recording.
Now, you said earlier that you listened to what he had to say. What do you recall him saying during that hearing about his position with respect to taking the vaccine?
So he stated that he and his, I'm not sure if it was his fiance or his wife, were trying to get pregnant, and that he did not want to take the vaccine because he believed it would have, I think, sort of an adverse impact on him being able to, help get his wife pregnant, basically.
Okay, and during that hearing, isn't it true that you made it clear to Mr. Veimoen that he was not allowed to cross-examine you or anybody else who was present there?
That's correct. That's not the purpose of the administrative hearing, and it is all spelled out at the very beginning of the meeting that this is not, a meeting for cross-examination, et cetera, et cetera. So all of those rules were spelled out at the beginning. Yes, ma'am.
And isn't it also true that during that hearing that you read a script at the beginning of that hearing, same script that you read for every firefighter, and that is what was kicking off, or at least initiating, each and every meeting?
So before I started the meeting, before I start the meetings, I always acknowledge who's there and ask them if they're ready to go. And then the meeting is started, and yes, to keep it consistent, we read the same, opening statement to all of the members.
And who is it who prepared that opening statement that you were reading in each and every case?
I don't know.
Hmm. Okay, so just to be clear on the format of these hearings, you would read a script and then the member would get a chance to respond to the script, but couldn't ask any questions. Is that correct?
No, the member doesn't respond to the script. The member is given an opportunity to provide his side of the argument. That is the purpose of the administrative hearing, and
And,
that's what we did.
and is it your position that requiring Mr. Veimoen to attend a meeting with yourself being the chief and also Lucy Chu was not intimidating to him in any way?
I cannot speak for him. What I can speak for is the way I conduct myself and the way Lucy Chu conducted herself at that meeting. And we are respectful, we are professional, and that's exactly how we were in that meeting.
And as far as you know, did Mr. Veimoen have anybody representing him during that meeting, the meeting that we're all talking about right now?
Yeah, I don't recall off the top of my head. I recall that he was, again, that he spoke about his wanting to have a family, and he was very emotional about that. And so I let him take his time and speak to us about what he wanted to speak to us about.
Okay, that is all at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
No
you.
further
Nothing
question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chief Nicholson. All right. So does the city have any further rebuttal witnesses to speak to call? Rest, and the member has rested.
Madam
Oh,
Feinstein.
sorry. Thank you, Vice President Nakasia. I don't know what I'd do without you. Do you have questions, and do you have them for the chief?
No, I do not have a question for the chief. When it's appropriate, I would like to ask a question to the member.
I mean, I defer to his counsel.
Know what the question is yet?
Well, normally, our commissioners can ask questions of their members.
I've rested our side of the case, so I mean, there doesn't seem to be any other room for questions.
No, normally, normally the way we do this is the commissioners, after questioning, have the opportunity to question a member. And if you then want to follow up with something, you may do that. But it is how.
Maybe I'm mistaken. I thought that was before both sides rest their cases.
No, not necessarily. And if you want to, I'll let you reopen your case if that's what you want to do. But I'm going to allow the vice president to ask questions of the member.
Okay, I don't wish to reopen the case. I wish to keep it closed. I have my objection on the record to commissioners asking questions after the case is closed. But if you wish to proceed, then that's what will happen.
That's what will happen. Okay, Vice President Nicasio, thank you.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you for affording the commissioners the ability to ask a question of a witness. I'm going to ask you, Member Veimoen, a very simple question in the sense of being direct. I'm not going to lay foundation as I generally do because it's been all part of your testimony. The chief, when she testified today, she made a statement, and I'm going to try to paraphrase as close as I can, that if any member takes and becomes fully vaccinated, that they would be welcomed back to the department. Question to you, Firefighter Veimoen, is that would you ever be willing to be fully vaccinated?
I have a exemption, and it's mine, my own. I am exempt.
All right, thank you very much.
Sir, I don't mean to interrupt everybody. I'm sorry. Sir, I didn't hear the last word you said. I am,
I invoked a religious exemption,
yes, okay.
okay, for my sincerely held beliefs. And it's plain and simple why I did that, right? So you're asking a question that is not relevant.
No, I'm not,
because
I'm asking you only to repeat the last word you said of your question, of your answer, sorry.
No. I'm not going to get vaccinated. I have a religious exemption. It's another thing, it's really hard to explain myself to the people bringing charges to me. Do you understand what I'm saying? How like awkward that is, and this is supposed to be a non-disciplinary hearing, and it's just like I just want on the record that this is really demoralizing. This is really uncalled for. Complete waste of taxpayer money.
No, I understand. I understand how you feel. And I apologize, Vice President Nicasio, for interrupting you.
That's fair.
The member answered my question. Thank you, Madam President. I have concluded. Thank you.
All right. Do any other commissioners have questions of the member? I'm not seeing any hands, so that will come to an end. Just want to double check here. Everything as I've indicated, although referenced not with specificity, there have been a number of continuances in this matter, both for case management conferences and for the hearing itself. And the member did submit a packet of material, as was, well, not necessarily as was due, but in preparation for this. My understanding from Ms. Gibson, who now represents the member, is that she does not wish to have that admitted into evidence. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. So the member is submitting no exhibits and no other documentary evidence. Is that correct? No, wait, I need, I'm sorry, sir. I need to go to your counsel.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Okay. So I just want to make sure that what I have here isn't coming into evidence. Okay. So, I mean, where we are now is commissioners have had an opportunity to ask questions. Other than moving forward to closing, is there anything else any member wishes to ask? And I'm sorry, any commissioner wishes to ask, any member of the commission wishes to ask? All right, I'm not seeing any hands there. And okay, at this point, what we need to proceed to is closing argument. The city will go first. There are 5 minutes per side, and the city can divide its time however it wishes, knowing that recognizing that they, at least in terms of the city will go first, they bear the burden of proof, so they have time to reserve to present a rebuttal argument. And the member also has 5 minutes. I hope I made myself clear. And so we'll proceed right now, if there's no objection, with the city's closing argument.
It was my fault. I was on mute again.
Finally, something's not my fault when it comes to computers. Good. Okay.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, members of the commission. Once again, the key facts before this commission are undisputed. The health officer, in her informed judgment, determined that in order to protect the city from COVID-19, all employees who enter certain high-risk settings must be fully vaccinated. Chief Nicholson, in her informed judgment, determined that it would be unreasonably risky for firefighters like Mr. Veimoen to perform the essential functions of his job without entering a high-risk setting or coming into contact with vulnerable members of the public. The health order explicitly allows her to make that judgment based on her experience and her education. Unlike nearly every other firefighter in this department and 99% of other city employees, firefighter Veimoen chose not to get vaccinated, given the option of a free, widely available shot, which 200 million Americans have already taken without incident, one which health experts across the world have said is critical to finally ending this pandemic. Firefighter Veimoen said no. His decision is why we are here today. No one in this hearing enjoys what is happening today. Firefighter Veimoen testified to just how awful and demoralizing this feels for him, and I don't envy his position. I also do not envy the amount of abuse that this commission has received from members of the public and even the firefighters themselves as they have sought to carry out the order of the health officer. But as bad as firefighter Veimoen feels in this hearing, I submit to you all that dying from COVID-19 likely feels worse. And that is why we are here, to protect the public, which is the core duty of a firefighter, from dying from a disease for which they are not one, not two, but three highly effective vaccines. Now, we heard a lot from firefighter Veimoen about his rights today. He talked a lot about his rights. But we must draw a line between the right of a firefighter to remain unvaccinated and the right of the public to be free from a preventable illness. And the department has drawn that line in favor of the public. A vaccinated department is critical to protecting the health and safety of San Francisco. Firefighter Veimoen's decision not to vaccinate himself left the department with no choice but to end his employment, a decision that he could change any time by walking into a Walgreens and getting a vaccine. The commission must uphold that decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gibson, please.
Before I begin, I just wanted to object and move to strike portions of the closing argument for which there was no testimony or other evidence submitted. So specifically, 99% of the firefighters got fully vaccinated. There was no evidence or testimony on that point at all, and therefore I would move to strike that portion of the closing argument. In addition, he said it was
Counsel, I'm going to stop you. Closing argument is an evidence, so the evidence speaks for itself. So your objection to what's stated in closing argument is overruled. Proceed, please.
Well, it is my understanding that if you're going to give a closing argument and cite facts that were never presented during the evidentiary period, that's misrepresenting sort of what went on in the case. So I'll put my objection on the record. There were a number.
Thank you. Put it on. It's on the record, right, Madam Court Reporter? It's on the record. She nods in the affirmative.
Okay, there were just 3 points that I wanted to object to. That was the first. The second was that vaccination was necessary to ending the pandemic. There was no expert testimony or any evidence to indicate that that is actually true. Again, highly effective vaccines, same thing. There was no evidence that supported that conclusion. So those are my objections. I'm ready to move on to the closing argument at this point.
All right, please, if you would, that would be excellent. And Madam Court Reporter, we're good? All right, we're good. Please proceed.
So this was my third hearing, and unfortunately, there were no surprises. Once again, the department failed to carry its burden of proof. It has been utterly unable to prove that there has ever been any vaccine that prevents COVID-19 infection or transmission, and at the same time, unable to prove that Mr. Veimoen violated Health Order C19-07Y updated. That is because the intent of the health order was to continue to protect the community from COVID-19 and to also increase vaccination rates to reduce transmission of COVID-19 long-term so that the whole community is safer and the COVID-19 health emergency can come to an end. That's the citation. Yet the department has submitted zero evidence through any witness that any COVID-19 vaccination reduces transmission of COVID-19 long term, or that the community is somehow protected by forcing Mr. Veimoen to take this experimental drug. Instead, it has focused on how many times it allegedly sent him paperwork through email or otherwise demanded that he take such a drug or face losing his position. That alone is not enough to carry their burden of proof. The department, through Chief Janine Nicholson, admitted that the county health order required that firefighters be vaccinated only with a vaccine of which the intended purpose was to prevent COVID-19. Chief Janine and the bureaucracy at the city and county of San Francisco knew in 2021 that the vaccines available at that time and through today did not prevent COVID-19 infection. They knew this because of CDC pronouncements. Clearly, they watched MSNBC and the fact that vaccinated personnel, including Chief Janine and dozens of other firefighters, became infected with COVID-19 after having been fully vaccinated. So why is the department mandating that firefighters be terminated? It is clear to any rational person that whomever is hired in their place, who is fully vaccinated, will be subject to becoming infected with COVID-19. It is also clear that any vaccinated person can spread the COVID-19 infection irrespective of their vaccination status. The problem with all of this is, of course, that the purpose and intent of the health order is impossible to follow if there is no vaccine that prevents infection or transmission of COVID-19. The interpretation section 2C of the health order makes that crystal clear. It states, all provisions of this order must be interpreted to effectuate the purposes and intent of this order as described above. And yet, the purpose and intent of the order are impossible to serve by taking any COVID-19 vaccine. The department wants to trade experienced, loyal, and effective firefighters like Mr. Veimoen with people who are probably less so. Why? Do they want certain types of people who are different in some way from their present employees? Of course, the public who pays the bills is never told the truth, but is only left to guess at why the bureaucrats are acting irrationally and in secret. Finally, this commission hearing will come to a close. There will be a prearranged vote to make the deliberations of the commission secret. This means that not one of us in the taxpaying public will know what was said when the commission considered whether the career of firefighter Leif Veimoen should be terminated. Why are the commissioners afraid of allowing taxpayers to know what, if anything, they say, consider, or do when ending the careers of effective, courageous, and good people who obviously put principle before profit? Regardless, no decision made by the commission will stop COVID infections or spread. The decision will not change the language of the order, which required firefighter Veimoen to take a vaccine, which was not available to anyone and never has been. The decision will prove that employees must obey orders, no matter how impossible or ineffective compliance may be. Blindly following the irrational orders of your superiors is what is required. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Yan, do you wish to offer a rebuttal argument to closing argument by the member?
Yes, ma'am. Briefly, please. Ladies and gentlemen of the commission, you've now experienced, ladies and gentlemen of the commission, you have now sat through several of these termination hearings and separation hearings. And
15 to be exact, yes.
Yes, ma'am, 15. And it has been a grueling process, one I do not envy, and one in which you have been subjected to taunts and insults from members of the public, and conspiracy theories and personal attacks from the member and his counsel, as well as implications of dark, nefarious motives, which all of us know are simply not true. So let's ignore all of that and let's stick to the facts. What are the facts? You heard Ms. Gibson testify that there is no vaccine that prevents COVID-19. That is simply not true. I brought up the FDA website earlier, and I urge anybody in this commission to follow that link and follow that link that's listed on the health order, and you will find 3 vaccines which have been authorized by the FDA to prevent COVID-19. The member testified that he called his local pharmacy and couldn't get a vaccine. While I'm currently on the Walgreens website at 333 El Camino Real San Bruno, there is an appointment available at 5:00 p.m. If he leaves now, he could probably still make it. And finally, you heard testimony that there is no evidence that the vaccine prevents spread. So let me read from the health order. The health order states, quote, San Francisco has experienced a surge in new COVID-19 cases and an increase in hospitalizations, mostly among people who are not fully vaccinated. And then it says, the best way to address the current surge and future surges is for everyone who is eligible to get fully vaccinated as soon as possible. That is the determination of the health officer, and it is one that we are all legally bound to apply. Once again, there are the rights of approximately 875,000 people are at stake today. Firefighter Veimoen is just one of those people. I urge this commission to uphold the decision, the determination of the department to protect the rights of the remaining residents of San Francisco and to uphold the decision to separate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yan. At this time, the commission needs to determine, because we will proceed to the deliberative phase of these proceedings, need to determine whether we wish to do that in open or closed session.
But before we get there, I have one issue. It's with respect to the procedural rules governing trial of disciplinary cases. I was just
This is not a disciplinary case, Ms. Gibson.
Well,
it's not a disciplinary case.
Also non-disciplinary. It's the procedural rules governing this trial as well. But page 13, section D states that even where the member requests an open session, the commission may hold some or all of a hearing in closed session for other reasons, for example, due to third-party privacy rights, or where federal, state, or local law or rules prohibit disclosure of certain information. So I think earlier you had referenced this section in the beginning of the hearing.
Yes.
So my question would just be, if there is grounds for a closed session, we would just like to know what it is before the commission goes into closed session.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that note. The question is now, the commission is going to proceed. We will at least adjourn this part of the proceeding. And my question is whether my fellow commissioners, is there a motion to deliberate in closed session or open session? And I am willing to propose we deliberate in closed session. Do I have a second?
Yeah, what's the grounds?
Yes, I second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Morgan.
Vice President Nakajo, how do you vote?
I vote to close.
And Commissioner Covington, how do you vote?
Open session.
The motion is to go wins in closed session.
All right, we will proceed in closed session. Thank you.
Is there a reason for the closed session pursuant to section D on page 13 of the procedural rules?
I'm going to tell you, because we have very open, lengthy, deep conversations about the situation, and they're not they are between all of us. And just to make clear for the record, because maybe after 16 of these out of however many sworn firefighters we have, maybe I'm running a little thin here. But the reality of it is,
Madam President, this is my livelihood and my job, and I would appreciate some sincere respect right now.
I'm not disrespecting you, sir. You've been a member of the department for 2 years. And I'm not disrespecting you. I've sat here all afternoon listening to the evidence for and against you about this. So I'm not going to take any kind of insult or what have you. And for the record, and all the people who are listening that support you, we are not compensated for this job. This is not something that is making any of us wealthy. It's not something any of us enjoy doing. I have considered many of the comments of your friends and whoever to be really insulting. And you want to know why people aren't in public service? That's why. So I'm just going to say it now. And so that has nothing to do with the facts of your case. But, all those who appear, it's always the same people. I now recognize their voices. I know who they are when they call in, and they're not doing you any service in terms of whether you're vaccinated or not vaccinated. We are obliged to follow the law, and the law is the health order. The law is from DHR. And the law is not the law, but the rule is from the chief of the department. And you can choose to accept that, not accept it, whatever you want to do. But I am growing weary of being insulted by doing the best I possibly can as a volunteer. And there are a bunch of fire departments across the United States, across California, adjacent to where you live, that will hire people and test them and not require that they be vaccinated. And it's interesting that no one wants to go work there. And I know exactly why, and you know exactly why. And you don't need to say anything else because it won't do you, it won't help you. That's all I have to say. Okay.
Is there a delineated reason for closed session? That's all I was looking for in terms of what it says on section D.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, Ms. Gibson.
Of the procedural rules, there has to be a reason for the closed session. It says third party.
Commissioner, I can chime in here. The closed session was authorized by the agenda under the Brown Act and the Sunshine Ordinance, and that's the basis for the closed session. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the answer.
Thank you, Mr. Russi. Do we need any vote or no?
No, we are voted to go into closed session 3-1.
Excellent. Okay. We'll go into closed
Okay,
session.
I'll move everybody out that doesn't belong into.
Does that mean I'm going to leave?
Yeah, and I'll bring you back in when we're done. I'll put you out.
Thank you, Madam Court Reporter.
You're welcome. Okay.
Okay, now I need to put us into closed session.
Unanimously to find that the department proved by a preponderance of the evidence that the member failed to comply with the vaccination requirement of the city health officer's health order, as well as the chief of department's general order, and to uphold the recommendation of a non-disciplinary separation in this matter. The commission will adopt findings of fact at a future meeting to support this decision, and will provide the member with the opportunity for an administrative appeal of the final decision, which will also be communicated to the member in the future. Thank you.
Item C2, vote to elect whether to disclose any or all discussions held in closed session as specified in San Francisco Administrative Code, Section 67.12A.
Is there a motion? Thank you, Vice President Nakasha. Yes.
I move the motion, please.
To disclose or not disclose?
Disclose.
To disclose. Okay.
To not disclose.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. To not disclose. Is there a second? I will second the motion.
Commissioner Covington, how do you vote? You're on mute.
Sorry, to disclose.
To disclose? And Commissioner Morgan, how do you vote? You're on mute.
Well, I made the motion, so it should have been already legit.
Oh, we didn't hear. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I have down that Vice President Nakajo moved to not disclose.
Okay, all right. Yeah,
And
well,
then-
I vote to not disclose.
Okay, the motion passes to not disclose 3-1. Item 3, adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, Vice President Nakasha seconds.
No, Commissioner Covington seconded.
Well, but Vice President Nakasha's hand went up first. He beat Commissioner Covington at her pen. So what can I tell you?
Who made the second?
Nakasha.
And Commissioner Covington, how do you vote?
To adjourn.
And Commissioner Morgan, how do you vote?
To adjourn.
This meeting is adjourned at 5:47.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
I have one question. Does anyone know, I think she's gone now, but is Ms. Gibson an attorney?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Thank you.